Yo, 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 yo. What's up, what's up, what's up? Give up the rack and hello to my fellow revolutionaries. You know who you are, and welcome to today's live stream. It is Monday, the 15th of December, halfway through the last month of the year, and what a year it has been. What a weekend it has been, if you catch my drift. I am referring to obviously, maybe not obviously for some, in relation to the events that unfolded yesterday at Bondi. So, if you're familiar with Sydney at all, there is a very, very popular beach destination. It's right in the center of Sydney, really, like in terms of um, you know its length along the coastline. It's pretty much in the heart of Sydney on that kind of axis, I guess you could say. And yeah, it's just iconic generally. I think people from around the world know of Bondi because of various, TV shows and things like that. But it's a tourist hotspot, always has been. So it's just a big draw card. And yeah, yesterday there was a mass shooting. Let's call it as the Americans do, say what it is. There was a mass shooting event that took place in Bondi yesterday. And, by Australian standards, I guess you would have to say, maybe not by world standards or particular nation standards, but this is pretty hardcore event nonetheless. So we're going to be unpacking a bit of that today. Dilemmas in the house. What's up? What's up? Give up your new center of conversation. I'm assuming you're referring to what I was just talking about then. Lap Jeff, internet friends. We've gone full circle. We're back at internet friends again. Voltaire in the house. How are we? And then Woozle, good morning. Joining us in the mornings, not an afternoon session today. So, thanks for everyone who's doing the roll call. And like, we're going to go over what's been happening as best we can, and trying to catch the conversation that is relevant, I would say, as opposed to, the definite culture wars that are going to come out of this, which Voltaire has already alluded to in the general chat on Discord, how like people are already weaponizing it for their own agendas. Let's try and steer clear of the culture wars on this one, and just try to get an understanding of what happened. Ninja Nurse, hi everyone. Shout out to all the doctors, nurses, and hospital staff that worked late into last night. Work's not over yet, though. However, much love to everyone that got called in or stayed back. Yeah, much love. I'm not sure. Do you know anyone that was working? But yes, shout out, massive shout out to all of the health workers out there, medical staff that were on hand. It's heavy stuff, and it's good to see that in the face of a crisis like this, that people are able to pull together to try to address this. Like I'm talking in terms of like the working people, like you've mentioned, that have come together and put in extra effort, stayed back, like you said, got called in, and like are available to kind of service the community. You never go beyond recognizing that people actually have to be there. I know I hate this term, but social capital is a real thing. Like people are the source of value out there, and you need those people out there to do these types of things, especially at these very, very important junctures. Well, so back in my day, these things didn't happen. Now these migrants have come in. This happens. Make Australia great again. Yeah, I'm assuming that's the rhetoric that you're referring to on the stream chat. Like this would never have happened if dot dot dot, even though it does. Cut to Sky, yeah. Yo, 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 4AS in the house. Sad day. Cut to Sky in the culture wars. I guess, maybe we can go through some of that later if you really want to. But first of all, I thought we would go on and actually just have a listen to what has been put out officially about the shooting itself and like the investigation into it thus far. We're going to go over to, there's an ABC have put out, I guess you would say, the full press release or interview with Albanese and Minns. So Minns is the premier in Sydney, of the state government. So just for some context, and I believe they've got some personnel from like maybe the chief of police and all that sort of stuff that are going to address what's happening in terms of the investigation. So let's go official first. It's it's boring potentially, but like at least they might have some information that cuts, like I said, beyond the culture wars on this one, and like the frantic kind of state of going onto TikTok and seeing everybody being like, "Oh my god, I just saw this," and it's just like, well, thank you very much for your opinion on that one. Agreed. Not until later. Fair enough. Father and son shooters. Yeah, that's an interesting one. Do you reckon? Like, what was going on there? And apparently from Bonnie Rig and Campsie, that's where the investigations are going. So if you're not familiar with Sydney, you'll hear this one a lot, and this one comes up in the fucking media all the time. But Western Sydney is a fucking huge place. So like Western Sydney, I would say, is a dog whistle or a trigger term for like everything, I don't know, west of Redfern, I guess you would say. And Redfern's basically in the CBD, so the Central Business District, but whatever. Anything that's Western Sydney usually has the connotation that they are, it's an area full of, I guess you would say, fucking Arabs, Middle Easterners, migrants, unsavory characters. But like Western Sydney usually gets kind of plastered in media headlines. And so like if something goes down and you have Western Sydney in the headline, then everyone's like, oh, again, it's happened again. Western Sydney. But like I said, Western Sydney can be anything west of Redfern. And if you know about Sydney's geography, that is a fucking huge huge land area. So for anything from Redfern to the base of the Blue Mountains, basically. But the connotation is such. So if you say Western Sydney, it's usually, I don't know, someone who shouldn't maybe be here in the first place, some, weird, some culture of people, etc., etc., etc. Now, they're from Bonnie Rig and Campsie. And Bonnie Rig and Campsie are like massively different places as well. Bonnie Rig literally is more southwestern Sydney. It's kind of halfway between, I guess you would say, the Liverpool area and Fairfield area. It's kind of sits in between those two boundaries there. And then we have Campsie, which is kind of in the Bankstown, Canterbury, more so Canterbury side of Western Sydney. Again, so if that's where the shooters are coming from, just dropping the word Western Sydney paints a picture for everyone. I would think about, you don't have to make too many guesses about what type of culture these people were, etc., etc. Ninja Nurse, operating theatres, EDs, ICUs just got in there and did their jobs. No time for culture wars today. She got real, and we all felt it. Fair enough. Genius, I guess. I'm glad it's boring. I'm so worried about this being used to push culture war shit. It will be. Let's be fucking honest. It will be. And I think, look, Volta, you might be able to share something with us in the stream chat so we can look at. But, I've already seen some stuff as well. People are like, look, this is why, we need to stop migration and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, the general stuff. Even then, Indoctrinathan shared this as well. I've already seen it, but we'll watch it again anyway. You've got, Benjamin Netanyahu already weaponizing this situation for his own culture war benefits, and slamming Australia, slamming Albanese, elbow sleazy, slamming him personally, saying he hasn't taken anti-Semitism seriously, and this is the result of it. Pretty bold stuff and pretty callous, or what would you say? Yeah, pretty lacking of empathy, that type of, straight away, just trying to point blame on people for this event. Like certain individuals don't have any say in it. They're just caught up in anti-Semitism. Apparently they don't have their own agendas, but I guess that'll come out in the wash. Culture wars don't matter when you're calibrating a ventilator. Yeah. Events Australia are firing up the AI slot machine. Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, seen so many comments blaming him. Blood is on his hands, LMAO. Interesting. The hero that disarmed one of them was a Muslim migrant from Syria. Yes, yes, we'll get into the hero of the day. Even Trump called him out as being a hero. I'm not sure if Trump actually understood what he was talking about. He might not have said that, but yeah, the footage of the hero is pretty amazing. If you haven't seen it already, I would suggest that you try and find it and have a look at it. Yeah, disarming. You know what? It really seems like some weird some I don't know, GTA style gameplay. So disarm someone and then like turns the gun on them and et cetera, et cetera. It's incredible stuff. But like all this whole thing seems like some type of weird yeah, GTA scene or something like that. So, and like I must admit all the stuff that I've seen from world news about this is and people that are like tourists in Sydney or tourists in Australia, and they're just like, wow, I didn't expect this to happen here. I just wanted to enjoy the beach. And it is one of those things that you think about. And I've heard many Americans say this in mass shooting events over there. It's just like, oh, I guess I was kind of ignorant because like it was always like, oh, it's not going to happen to me. Like it's you hear about it on the news and it's sad. My heart goes out, thoughts and prayers, but you never think it's actually going to happen to you. And here we are. Well, Albo's in Hawaii. So he's already doing better. He's not, sorry, in Hawaii. So he's already doing better than the last guy. Oh my God. Yeah. 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 It's interesting to think about, isn't it? Hey, what? I had a family holiday. Come on. Hey, anyone? Anyone? All right, let's have a look. And just get some information about what actually happened or what they know. Let's get that. I've seen this cut up like 1,000 times already, but let's look at all of them because they all go through and speak, and then we'll stop and we'll figure stuff out as we go along, shall we? As we investigate today. I got general chat going on here. All right, so Sam's providing some interesting information here. I don't know if you've seen it. Go into the general chat if you have the opportunity. This is interesting. Sam, you came out with this like 12:30 last night, and you said you've been seeing posts about how the name of one of the shooters was getting a lot of pings in searches in Is Not Rail hours before it happened, and apparently another big ping last week as well. What's going on there? Like honestly, what's going on there? So we'll look at that later, but thank you for providing that. Yeah, more or less false flag indicators, all that sort of general tinfoil hat stuff. Not going to put it past, like my initial reaction, I don't know about you, if you were watching this, my initial reaction, and like, it's just because I've spent so much time looking at all this sort of stuff now. Like if you spend enough time, investigating the history of things like the CIA and all that sort of stuff and affiliates of theirs in particular countries, you just can't get out of your mind. You're just like, oh my God. Like even looking at the history of what happened in October, a couple of years ago, you just can't get this type of stuff out of your mind. But I guess we will get to that as the day unfolds. Dilemmas can't wait for the new gun laws because more regulation is always the solution to any problem. As they scrap the machete bins, LOL. Interesting that you say that. They might touch on that here, but it looks like the two shooters were actually, or one of them was a registered, had registered firearms and had licenses for them. So I was wondering where they got them from, if this was part of some type of, illegal trade of firearms, black market, who the knows? But it doesn't seem to be the case. So it'll be interesting what you make of that gun law stuff, Dilemmas. I know you'll have some strong opinions on it regardless. All right, let's have a listen.
Appreciate everybody being here this morning. I'm joined with the Prime Minister, the Minister for Police, the Commissioner for New South Wales
Chris Minns,
and
okay?
of course Mal Lanyon,
He's the Premier, so the leader of the state government. Just for anyone who is international or needs some context.
Wales Police Commissioner. A very sad duty this morning to report that 16 people have been confirmed as being killed, 15 innocent people and one perpetrator. There were
16. I remember last night when I was looking at it, when someone was like, oi, jump on, have a look. Something's gone down in Bondi. It was 10, I think, last night. Fucking 15 people. That is fucking mental. I know depending where you're joining us from, this might more or less might be, typical for some countries or not unusual, let's say. I think the Americans are up to what, 360 something for mass shootings for the year. I don't think we're near that yet. Yeah, 12 last I heard. Sad. Yeah, 15. And one of them is one of the shooters.
Two people
sorry,
in New
16
South Wales hospitals overnight, and the victims' age ranges are from as young as 10 to 87.
Fuck.
A devastating fact.
Like, if you've seen some of the footage, you can't see like footage. Well, maybe you can, depending on who you are. Some are more resourceful than others. I am not that way inclined. But if you've heard any of like the people, running around with their phones trying to get away, you do hear a lot of screaming of, of kids and stuff like that. So this was a festival, a family day. It was a Hanukkah festival. So I think it's the first day or something like that. So, everyone was out celebrating, etc., etc. But there were, a lot of kids around. So 10, they're as young as 10. Fuck, man. Oyster BCO, the Australian guy behind the 2019 Christchurch shooting, stated the reason he didn't do it in Australia is because of how hard it was to amass weapons. At the time, if I remember, it was 34,000 to get an illegal gun, he said. Wow. Interesting. Any comments on that? Anyone who's pro-gun in the chat? Much respect is to Australia, mate. Sad day, bro. Thank you, Tom Jones is back. It's good to have you in a stream. It's been pretty intense, I would say, for a lot of people over the last, what has it been? Like 16 hours? Yeah, it's been very intense. But I think that over a shared feeling, let's say, is that it's pretty surprising. It's not run-of-the-mill stuff in Sydney.
New South Wales Police Commissioner Mal Lanyon will speak in a moment about Operation Shelter, the circumstances of this investigation, the counter-terrorism plan from New South Wales Police, and the latest in relation to community safety, as well as the New South Wales Government's and the New South Wales Police's inquiry into this devastating crime. Obviously, the Jewish community in New South Wales are absolutely devastated this morning, and it's our responsibility to wrap our arms around that wounded community and let them know that ordinary Australians, regular Australians, are in their corner and thinking of them this morning after this terrible, terrible targeted attack on what should have been a joyful event that they have every right to share with their community on Bondi Beach last night. We need to send a strong and clear repudiation of anti-Semitism in all of its forms. In all of its forms. There is no tolerance for racism or Jewish hatred in New South Wales or Australia, and we need to be clear and unambiguous that we will fight it everywhere we see it, whether it's destructive, horrible acts of violence or chants, mottos and internet posts on the internet. Wherever it is, we need to fight anti-Semitism. It is toxic. It is cancerous within a community, and as you can see from last night, it leads to devastating, devastating implications for the people of our country. There's been overwhelming public outrage and support from the people of New South Wales, and I think from the people of Australia. There needs to be a time for mourning. We need to be in a position to bind up the wounds of the state's Jewish community, and many people are asking how they can help. The first thing, of course, is to listen to New South Wales Police and emergency services, but if you are looking for something practical to do, you could give blood. We saw extraordinary scenes from New South Wales public hospitals last night. Emergency departments, at the drop of a hat, were in the process of saving scores of lives. They did an incredible job, but they need your help. They need blood.
GG Sam, how you going? I went to bed and the count was up to 12. And oh wait, I forgot. I'm behind by 2 minutes. Yeah. And this is part of it, right? I think this is an interesting point because people probably are looking potentially if there's anything that they can do to assist and to help in any way. And I think this is a pretty good point. My partner is big on this blood donation. Before we met, I hadn't even thought about it, to be honest. But in a situation of this nature, I think it is really a matter of life or death. just because of, I think, the style of weapons that they were using and the way they were just unleashing. If you've seen the footage, they're just like at that footbridge and in the park area, and they're just, like it really felt like some really weird GTA moment. They just pop in, they're just shooting indiscriminately into the crowd and just hoping to hit people, I guess. But yeah, if you're wondering what you can do, I think it's not a bad point. There would be a lot of need for people to give blood right now if you're in Sydney, in the area. I hate the fact that they focus on the Jewish angle rather than an attack against Australia. It's interesting. That's what Tom Jones has said as well. Tom Jones is back. This is an attack on Australia, mate. Is not rail has a right to self defense? Then why don't we? Kind of fair, not gonna lie. I swear some have been trying to make it out as more of an attack against Israel more than Australia. Really? People have been saying that? That's interesting. I must admit I haven't seen that type of rhetoric. All I've seen is a lot of this. Like, we're here for the Jewish community, need to wrap our hands around the Jewish community, like all that sort of stuff. There's a lot of that rhetoric, but like this is the similar type of rhetoric that's been going on for ages, for, ever since basically October. 2 years ago, it's just been non-stop about anti-Semitism and attacks on synagogues and Jewish schools and Jewish people and, all that sort of stuff. It's this rhetoric has, it hasn't just plucked out because of this event. They have been using this rhetoric non-stop, right? The biggest threat to Jewish people is not rail itself committing genocide in their name. Of course, anti-Semitism and nutters doing this stuff will increase. I think that's an interesting point. I haven't really heard like mainstream media people talking about this. Like there is, obviously without any type of evidence, I'm just going to make some huge assumptions here. But like these people that are doing this shooting, this must be some link to what has been happening with Is Not Rail and the broader, Middle East situation. Who knows kind of what derivation they are exactly. I'm not sure if they're going to get to that, but like it must be related to that somehow. Ninja Nurse's got a good point. We chewed through our supplies. Blood's not something you can freeze and hold long term. You have to use it fresh. There you go. We've heard it from our resident medical professional here. If you are in Sydney and you have any chance to do this, and if you do feel like you want to do something, this is not a bad point at all. Thank you, Ninja Nurse. I think it's important to focus on the Jewish aspect, to be honest. It was seemingly an anti-Semitic attack. Yeah, it seems to have been done particularly on that festival. So I don't think you could really argue that it wasn't targeted at this point. It really definitely looks like it wasn't like random at all. It was targeted. But like this is the rhetoric, though. This rhetoric has been non-stop like this for a couple of years now. Like the only question I have is like if this happened to, let's say, like a Muslim festival or something like that, would they be using the same rhetoric? All I look for in society, a capitalist society, especially when I look to critique it, is like double standards. So I wonder if we'd have the same rhetoric if this was, if this had happened at some type of Muslim festival or something like that. I hope the answer is yes, unreservedly, absolutely yes. I seen the Aussie hero charge a dude with a gun, and it's huge. The gun is huge, and he's like waiting behind the car, and he just like, yeah, he just fucking jumps him and wrestles with him and takes the gun and points it at him. And he's just like, the guy backs off, fucks off, and then he just like puts the gun down. It seems so calm, right? Far out. What a crazy situation. And you can hear like the two people that are filming it, like French backpackers or something. You can hear them talking about it in the background. It's crazy. Also, yeah, from before, I don't necessarily believe that these are false flags. It's definitely way too early to be speculating. Okay, right. But you have seen some stuff. That's an interesting thing. I have not seen anyone say anything like this before, though. What you've mentioned here, that like there's been hits on their names before the event happened in Is Not Rail. That's weird. That's weird. Jerry Poppins, I've seen screenshots from yesterday's social media commotion that suggest it isn't just an attack on the Jewish community and allude to more attacks in the future. Oh, jeez. Far out. If you have any posts that you can share in Discord, Jerry Poppins, you know what to do. Master of the chord. Ahmed, massive brass clangers. Al Ahmed, yeah, Aussie hero. Massive brass clangers. Yeah. It's fucking ballsy. It's so ballsy. But like, if you watch like all the various footage, there are heaps of people just like hanging out. Like, you know, I guess where you're gonna go. But there's a lot of people just in the vicinity. You can see them crouching behind things, you know, seeing what they can do, lurking, all that sort of stuff. If anyone is interested to find a location to donate, here it is. Thank you very much, Ninja Nerds. I'm going to put that again in the chat so everybody can see it. I'll get it again, but there's the link if you are interested. Yeah, I really hope this doesn't start a trend. Yeah, that's the thing, right? That's the fear, isn't it? All right. Back to Minzy boys over here.
And if you're thinking about doing an act of public service in the coming 24 hours, I'd urge you to contact the Red Cross and do that piece of public-mindedness, that piece of public-spiritedness. I want to say thank you to our amazing police force who acted bravely and diligently in incredibly difficult circumstances. Thank you to the paramedics who, in some cases under fire, transported the injured to New South Wales hospitals, to the doctors and nurses.
Did he say under fire? Has anyone heard that? Yeah. So like they were taking people out. The ambulance was already there, and these guys were still shooting at people. Is that true?
In our public hospitals, and lastly, thank you to innocent bystanders and civilians who stood up, risked their own lives to save other people's lives. This is a terrible, wanton act of destructive violence, but there are still amazing people that we have in Australia, and they showed their true colours last night. I'm going to pass over to the Prime Minister and then New South Wales Police Commissioner.
Well, thanks very much, Premier. What we saw yesterday was an act of pure evil, an act of anti-Semitism, an act of...
They were shooting for long enough. I think they said the gunshots were going on for at least a 10-minute period. Now, if you think about it, like, and under a circumstance like that, as time stretches, because it is relative, my God, 10 minutes of that. Fuck.
Terrorism on our shores in an iconic Australian location, Bondi Beach, that is associated with joy, associated with families gathering, associated with celebrations, and it is forever tarnished by what has occurred last evening. This was an attack deliberately targeted at the Jewish community on the first day of Hanukkah, which of course should be a joyous celebration, and the Jewish community are hurting today. Today, all Australians wrap our arms around them and say, we stand with you. We will do whatever is necessary to stamp out anti-Semitism. It is a scourge and we will eradicate it together. The Australian Federal Police and ASIO are working closely with New South Wales authorities, and the briefing we've just had, we have had the AFP there, and the AFP Commissioner will return to Australia today. We will dedicate every single resource that is required in responding to this. To the brave responders, first responders, including ordinary citizens who acted yesterday, thank you for what you do. People rushing towards danger to show the best of the Australian character. That's who we are, people who stand up for our values. Flags will fly at half-mast across the country today as we pay our respects to all those lost and all those who have been injured. And we conclude by saying that yesterday was indeed a dark day in our nation's history, but we as a nation are stronger than the cowards who did this. I thank world leaders who have reached out from...
yeah, and there has been some reaction from world leaders, that's for sure. They've been going after you too, buddy. Netanyahu, my God. I have to have a look at that. I saw a 10-minute video. They were taken but down by the 7-minute mark, but the shooting had already started. Oh, did see a cop car completely just drive by a close spot with good angles. Dr. Nathan, yo, give it up for Ahmed Al Ahmed, dead set legend, Australian hero, as we have just heard from Elbow Sleazy. That, yeah, absolute, Aussie hero. Interesting.
President Trump, President Macron, Prime Minister Starmer, others right around the world have reached out to Australia at this time, and we thank you for your sympathy and your solidarity with our values. Australia will never submit to division, violence or hatred, and we will come through this together. We refuse to let them divide us as a nation. I'll hand to Commissioner Lanyon now.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Last night I announced that I had determined that it was a terrorist activity and
None of you better be taking back that promise of buying him a drink because he's Muslim. Just buy the man a coffee. That's hilarious. I don't know. I've gotten drunk with a few Muslims in my time. They don't mind a drink every now and again. I guess depends on the crowd. Funk BB dude. First thing he does is take a pot shot at the PM, regardless if the PM is left or right. You offer condolences and support the same way BB did when Charlie Kirk died. Yeah, he was also suspiciously all over the Kirk event too, can I just say. He was like, we didn't do it. I had nothing to do with it. It's like, whoa, slow down there. I don't think anyone said you did. Netanyahu, calm down. Guilty conscience. Netanyahu is a lunatic for that. Pretty reasonable guy otherwise, as far as I can tell. Come on. It's a good one. That's funny. You're funny. Made a law that he never pays for a drink again. Give him a special card. Putting it in the stream chat, probably the best not to show on the stream. Yeah, okay, fair enough. I can't show certain stuff on this stream, so yeah, there's to be very curated today about what goes down in this stream. That's for sure. So like just for context, the 2019 bushfire season, referred to as the Black Summer, 33 people died in that. And so we have 16 that have died today, or 15, let's say. So, about half of what of that. And that was like, that's obviously, that's gone down in the history books, national day of mourning or period of mourning. So like, today it's what it's going to be. It's going to go down in the history books. Maybe will be interviewed on Sky News within days, I bet. Yeah, probably. The country's livestock and wildfire that dies then too. Yeah, they don't count that. I'm not in the same way. Man took 2 bullets. Yes, I heard he took 2 bullets. He's in hospital at the moment, right? And saved countless lives. It's the least that we can do to never let him pay for anything in an establishment ever again. There it is. I posted in censored comments. Oh, what? You got censored? I guess this is a touchy topic, right? Isn't it? Sent out via Snapchat yesterday. I'm going to read this out. I don't know if I'm going to post this. You all wanted this, so eat it up. There's so much more to come. Oh, wow. Look, I'm going to let people read that for themselves. But like, thank you. Thanks for sharing that. I also have that 10-minute video. There's also a video of a bystander kicking one of the shooters in the head as medical staff try to apply CPR, but I won't share either of those videos for obvious reasons. Yeah, I've seen that one. Yeah. He's like, "Bash him," or something like that. And they're like, the police are pushing him away. But yeah, if you're interested and you want to know what we're looking at or what we're talking about here, we are on Discord. That's where we drop propaganda and have like conversations on the side. So if you're watching this and you want to share your propaganda, have a chat, just keep it fucking respectful for God's sakes. And like warn people, please. I believe he's Muslim. Yeah, I've heard people say that. That the hero is Muslim. I had a car accident on the 2nd of Jan that year trying to escape. I almost ended up in that statistic. Holy shit. Yeah. Oh yeah, and thumbs up, please. Anyone who's watching this on YouTube, if you can give a thumbs up, that'd be nice. Give it a hit the like button. Yeah, good choice. Not reading it out. Yeah, I read ahead a little bit as I was talking. It's probably not appropriate for that, but you can check it out yourself if you want. Like I said, I've just given you the Discord invite, so you can go and have a look there. All right, let's get to the police commissioner, shall we?
Made a declaration as such. Thank you, Prime Minister. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Last night I announced that I had determined that it was a terrorist activity and made a declaration as such as 9:36 p.m. As a result of that declaration...
So, like, what does that mean? Does anyone across... I'm not in the AFP. I'm just going to have a look. The police commissioner has announced this Bondi attack as a terror event. Why is it important for it to be designated as such, as opposed to any other type of crime? Very brief answer, please. It's got to do with the laws that they can enact under a terrorism act, or like the suspension of people's liberties and stuff like that. Special powers for the police. Very briefly, designating it as a terror event changes how the state responds. It unlocks counter-terrorism laws and powers, federal involvement, intelligence agencies, special policing powers. It frames the motive as ideological, not just criminal, which affects investigations and prosecutions. It triggers national security protocol, funding, coordination across agencies. It shapes public messaging and policy responses, including prevention, surveillance, and legislation. There it is. So it's about different powers. Different powers, of course. Oh, so it's just about crime control. It's about national security now. There it is. Political motivated violence. They don't have to use warrants and they have more reach. Yeah. Did they have ties with any terrorists? I don't know. Let's see what the police commissioner says. That's a good question, right?
We commenced Operation ARQUES, ARQUES, which is a joint counter-terrorism operation. That is New South Wales Police working very closely with our Commonwealth partners to ensure that we thoroughly investigate the circumstances of the incident yesterday. We have progressed at pace overnight with that investigation, and as a result of investigations undertaken, I can say that we are not looking for a further offender. We are satisfied that there were 2 offenders involved in yesterday's incident. One is deceased. The second is in critical but stable condition in hospital at the moment. The offenders are a 50-year-old and 24-year-old male who are father and son. The 50-year-old is deceased. The 24-year-old is currently in hospital at the moment. As part of the investigation, we conducted 2 search warrants last night, one at Bondi Rig and a second at Campsie. The 50-year-old male is a licensed firearms holder. He has 6 firearms licensed to him.
Anyone who knows about, I don't know, gun laws and controls, can someone, tell this ignorant individual over here, why the fuck do you need 6 weapons? Like, why do they give out licenses for all that? Are there variations? Are they different functions? Like, this is, my Sunday best, or this is just the usual one that I take to work. Like, what's the difference? Like, why do you need all that weaponry? I don't understand. They are being delayed on details about motives, etc., but have labeled it straight up as a terrorist attack. Yeah, Raccoon Slayer 51, false flag. I think we've been kind of speculating on that one already. It's hard just not to have that reaction, like kind of thing, if you know enough about world history, right? They are very worried about retribution acts, so we'll hold back carefully on this one. Please do not false flag this. To do stuff like this, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, I guess. Like, yeah, why would you need 6 guns, right? But this smells of some hardcore radicalization, brainwash level. Yeah. Yeah, it does. Especially like if you've seen some of the footage, right? So cold. So cold. Right? Permit reasons are generally for work, hunting, and permitted recreational reasons. Okay. Usually it's just a target shooting hobby and people are interested in the guns. Sometimes hunting and stuff too, but sports shooting is pretty big in Australia. Okay. Would have thought that motive would come into consideration when it comes to classifying it. That's a fair call, right? Well, like if you've called it terrorism, then you must understand what the motive is then. It's not just like two deranged individuals, father and son, off tripping together. Like if this is targeted and it constitutes terrorism. Cowboy shooting, you need to have a shotgun, level action, and single action revolvers as a minimum. Back to it.
We are satisfied that we have 6 firearms from the scene yesterday, but also as a result of the search warrant at the Campsie address. Ballistics and forensic investigation will determine this morning that those 6 firearms are the 6 that were licensed to that man, but also that they were used in the offence yesterday at Bondi. We will continue to investigate this matter thoroughly. It's important for the community to have the reassurance that New South Wales Police, working with our Commonwealth partners, will not stop until we understand the reasons behind this senseless incident and take any available action that we need to do. We always work closely with our Commonwealth partners to make sure that we keep the community safe. This is a very difficult time for all law enforcement agencies, and I would really like to call out the work of New South Wales Ambulance last night, and we're joined by the Commissioner Morgan this morning. The ambulance officers were absolutely outstanding in their response.
Yeah, good on them.
16 deceased.
Good on them. Hey, those hard-working individuals. Like, that would have been fucking it, right? This is not a fucking drill. I wonder if they train for this type of stuff specifically. Like mass events. They probably do, right? Australians definitely deserve to know things transparently. I mean, someone has been allowed to fester in our community and these intentions and weapons to do this to our people and our nation. That's a fair call. Yeah, they've been sitting on this one, and not just like, let's just plan it out. They've got the gear too. Apparently there was a explosive device found in their car as well. So maybe they had multiple phases of yesterday's event. I would say a big influence is that in the long video you can see the shooters waving off other bystanders so they keep firing into the event. A lone shooter can be blamed on mental illness and psychosis, but 2 of them, that must have been a crazy household. Yeah. And Dr. Nathan, all this is proof of what a lot of pro-Palestinian activists have been saying for a long time, that Israel's conflation of Jewish people in Israel would lead to anti-Semitic attacks eventually, because conflating Israel and Jewish people worldwide is already anti-Semitic in itself. Yeah, that's an interesting point, isn't it? Yeah, by brandishing is not really sentiment as anti-Semitic, it lumps everyone in as the target of anything that is an anti-is not rail action. It's an interesting point. They had rounds of ammo tied to them. They were prepared for the long haul and damage. Jesus.
Persons is obviously a great tragedy for this state. Our thoughts, prayers and love go out to all of the families of the deceased. We pray that those are injured recover quickly. I have 2 police officers currently in hospital at the moment. Both are in critical but stable condition. And again, the thoughts of the New South Wales Police are very much with those officers and their families. This morning we commenced Operation Shelter. It is an operation that we have previously run. We have escalated the number of police that are involved. Operation Shelter is designed to provide comfort to the Jewish community. We will make sure that we are highly visible at places of worship, places that are known to be frequented by the Jewish community, but very much in those suburbs where we know that we have a large Jewish population. I want to make it very clear that the New South Wales Police will not tolerate the types of violence or the types of anti-Semitic behaviour that we have seen. We will have 328 officers on the ground this morning as part of Operation Shelter. That operation will continue to work very closely with the Jewish community to make sure that we both prevent but also respond to anything that may happen. I was very clear last night to call for calm. This is not a time for anyone to be seeking retribution. This is a time for community to grieve and to heal. The New South Wales Police will do what it does best, and that is to prevent but investigate offences that happen. And we will be here to support the community. I might hand over to Commissioner Morgan, I think, if there's anything you'd like to say, sir.
Thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Could I just express my condolences to the victims, the families and friends, and certainly those that remain in hospital at this time. Our best wishes and prayers are...
Is he the only one that's done the condolences so far? That's interesting. Wow. DC sniper attacks by John Allen Muhammad and Lee Boyd Malvo was a complex mix of extortion, revenge against ex-wife, and desire for control and chaos. So I'm reserving judgment about our duo until we know motivation. Fair enough. Twitter already had plenty of people blame Palestinian protests and immigration. Can we go also and get some guards at Muslim places of worship too to counter attacks? Counter attacks are also going to be incredibly likely. Well, it's just, he has mentioned at the police commissioner, like, no acts of retribution, please. But yeah, I don't see that's as part of Operation Shelter. It wasn't mentioned anyway. How about we say that? Oh, please, why are we even paying or owe any protection to this imported third world conflict? Interesting point. So you're saying that there is a gripe between two cultures and they are bringing that stuff here. That's your point. None of this has to do with Australia or Australians. I found myself last night thinking, what should we expect? This was a shooting. If this was a shooting, a Cabramatta Lunar New Year or Lakemba Eid night markets or carols by candlelight. That's what I was saying before. Like, what would have happened? In terms of the rhetoric anyway, would they be saying this is Islamophobia or I don't know, anti-Christian or et cetera, et cetera? Would we have the same rhetoric? Emancipatory, channeling. Absolutely wasn't here when we were a homogeneous, unified nation. Back to
going out to you. This was obviously a significant incident that has occurred at Bondi Beach last night. New South Wales Ambulance got its initial call via New South Wales Police at 18:43 last evening.
Damn, it was 18:43. Where were you? Like, where were you at 6:43 last night? Can you remember what you were doing? Fuck, I remember what I was doing.
Our first crews were on scene within less than 10 minutes. This took a response of more than 123 personnel from New South Wales Ambulance. Both New South Wales Police and New South Wales Ambulance worked seamlessly, I'm advised, through this entire incident in support of the community. I cannot convey how important that is. We are told stories of amazing heroism, of paramedics and police working seamlessly together with members of the community. Some of our paramedics are from the Jewish community and attended that scene, and continued their duties diligently and professionally. Of that initial response, New South Wales Ambulance transported 24 patients, particularly in the first wave. There were attended 14 people who were deceased at the scene.
24 people taken away. 14 deceased at the scene. I wonder if that number will change then.
Through the course of the evening, another 2 people succumbed to their conditions at New South Wales hospitals, and a total of 42 people attended New South Wales facilities. It is not uncommon in these major incidents for members of the community, sometimes often with very serious injuries, to make their own way to hospitals so that they are not burdening the resources, the services. This is what it means to be Australian.
Shit. Wow. Sitting at home, chilling and chatting to others, all of a sudden the news came in, didn't get much sleep. As stayed up debriefing. Yeah, fair enough. That was pretty much a similar evening for me. I was out with family, and then the message came in, and then straight on, trying to figure out what was happening. Straight into it. Until like falling asleep, basically.
I do want to make the point that there is a significant amount of support available from the New South Wales health system. I could commend to the community that there are great resources available on the New South Wales Health website if you need mental health support, and some reference material if you also need that. Just in conclusion, I do want to make the point. There were some amazing lessons learned from the Bondi Westfield Shopping Centre. Last night, I'm told, the command structures were seamless, the joint agency approach, the ability for paramedics with the support of police to work in these hot zones, I'm absolutely convinced contributed to the saving of lives that otherwise would have been lost. Finally, just one message for the first responders at these scenes. You are an inspiration to us all. The way you put yourself in harm's way, your courage and resilience, we all thank you.
Yeah, someone said before that they were under fire, the early ambulance arrivers. Wasn't it Albo or something said that before? That's pretty fucking mental. Or as in like the firing was still going as they were responding. That's fucking crazy.
Commissioner Langan, can you elaborate? You said yesterday that one of the gunmen was known to police. Was that gunman known to police for extremist views, and were any terror symbols displayed at the attack yesterday?
I prefer not to comment at the moment. We're still very early in the investigation. We'll be happy to provide further information that it goes along. I want to give our investigators the opportunity to investigate thoroughly without speculation. We did hear last night a lot of information was coming forward. I want to make sure that it's accurate.
Commissioner, there are reports a black ISIS-style flag was draped over the gunman's car. Are police aware of this? Has a flag been recovered?
That's all part of the investigation, as I just said before. I'd rather not comment on that right at the moment. Obviously,
So there you go. There's reports coming in that there was a black ISIS flag that was draped over the car of one of the shooters, and he's just refusing to answer any questions on this one. That's the first I am hearing of this. I haven't really heard too much of the speculation onto what they're associated with, etc., etc. But ISIS has come up again more recently, especially with developments in Syria, developments in what's been happening in, I guess you would say, North Africa, Western Africa, and all that sort of stuff. ISIS kind of dropped off the radar, the world radar, or the Western radar for a long time, and ISIS is back in the hot seat now. So it's interesting that if the reports are true, that it's this particular outfit, organization, whatever you want to call it, that these people are associated with. Very interesting. Yeah, I've been up since 3 a.m. because of it. I was going until 12 or 1 because of all of this. Yeah. I think a lot of Australians are a bit tired and weary today. Crazy times. Not a good start leading into the holidays. Yes, it's the end of year period, and people are looking to wind down, work hard all year, and people like to wind down at the end. And, it's, yeah, it is Very, very unfortunate. I did see that on ABC News live broadcast, ABC or Nine, I don't remember. Do you think stricter gun laws would help? Because I don't. I do take solace in the fact that compared to America, this is still an extremely rare occurrence. Well, yeah, I guess. Like, see, that's the thing. If you were to argue, if like these people got their guns off the black market, then that is this guy's problem, right? You know what I mean? Like, someone like him, they need better systems in place to stop some type of illegal gun trade that's going on that's facilitating these type of events from happening. But we're talking about people that got it through the system. And so, the system itself, and like people know my thoughts on this. And if you're not aware of my thoughts on this one, let me just repeat it for you. The system of guns, the market, let's call it market for guns, is what that is. It's a market. And so people produce firearms not just because they've got use value for sporting or hunting or protection. They produce it because it's profitable, baby. And so if there are licensing and regulation around that in a particular country because they're more hardcore with the constraint on that type of commodity, because that's what a gun is at the end of the day. It's not a fucking gun. It's a commodity first, a gun second. If there are restrictions around that in a particular country, then there is a dialectical relationship. There is a struggle between the people that produce the guns for sale and the people that regulate the guns for public safety. There is a constant struggle between the two of them. And, there will be concessions here and there because somebody gets to make money out of it. And so I don't know if the gun laws should be stricter, and that if they were stricter, that would have avoided this. But I do know if it wasn't a commodity, if it wasn't pushed onto people like it's a lifestyle choice and it's a thing to consume, and like there was, like I said, profit to be made with guns, the whole situation surrounding guns and their appeal to people and the way that they're used and licensed and regulated would be very, very different. They'd be very, very, very different right now. And so if you think about a gun as a commodity and how that affects its regulation, I think if they were banned and there wasn't a black market, then yes, this wouldn't have happened at all, right? Or if they were incredibly strict, then you could argue that this wouldn't happen at all. Again, only if it is true that this hasn't come off a black market somewhere. And the police commissioner is saying that he's releasing this information. He won't release anything else. He'll release information like this. So what's going on with that? How many would be dead if machine guns were legal? Yeah, well, fair enough, right? It's a good point. No new gun laws won't do much, as think about it. Laws only keep good people from doing certain acts. Crime gangs still get guns imported on the black market, and nothing would stop someone who wanted one. Well, apparently this didn't come off the black market, though. They had explosives. They would have done it with Molotovs and knives. We should be able to defend ourselves. It would have been different if someone could have returned fire immediately to suppress. Well, look, that guy, the hero, he had the gun. He could have returned fire, but he didn't want to use it, or he chose not to use it. Let's say. Let's keep it objective. I've heard that ISIS has collaborated with Israel. Well, look, depending on who you speak to and what history you look at, ISIS is a creation of the CIA and all that sort of stuff. So yes, they're kind of agents of destabilization in the region for places like the US and Israel. How many would be dead if the machine gun was legal? I want to know who approved the license and why during routine checks they didn't identify the Pakistan-born son. He was also known to ASIO. Ban everything. That's not a musket. Yes, right? There's a really funny Jim Jeffries video, and he's talking about the Second Amendment, and he's like, you have to load the musket kind of thing. He's like, I'm really pissed off. That's it. I'm going to take this out on you. And it takes him 2 minutes to get the gun ready to open fire. You've got a lot of time to contemplate while you're reloading your musket. He had a gun license. Just why you need to go hunting all of a sudden. Crazy. There's also 3D gun printing capability now. It's a fair point. Fair point. But they didn't use 3D guns. I guess, is the point here. The Turkish push-button shotguns are pretty popular. Google the Tacosaurus. Did I read that right? If you're an Australian Jew, this would be on the back of your mind for the whole of Hanukkah this year. It's really sad. Yeah, what gets me, someone in direct family was known to Asia, yet the father could effortlessly own 6 rifles. Like, look, again, call me ignorant, but I know you explained that you could have a number of things for different reasons, but like, why the fuck do you need 6? I don't necessarily think the gun laws should be any real more strict than we already are. Imagine if everyone there was strapped. I think that would have been more fatalities. Yeah, like old Western shootout. Everyone just returning fire on each other in Bondi. But white guys with ADHD get rejected for the license and double standard much. I like fishing. No gun can still drown. Everything comes back to capitalism. Everything comes back to capitalism for me, baby. It's all affected. Like, I'm not saying it's a direct causation, but like, you can't negate the fact that this stuff is a market, and the market puts pressure on the regulations outside of individuals who just want to, have their civil liberties upheld. There's market pressures that change this stuff. And, maybe the market's just kind of like, look, hey, let them have 6. Licensing isn't enough. They want a gun, let them have 1. The regulator might say, or someone looking into the safety of this, but the market might say, hey, loosen it up a bit. If they've got a license, let them have 6. Let them consume more guns, right? Because everyone's got 6 arms, so they need 1 in each. It's such a dumb argument. Laws only stop people who break those laws anyway from breaking those laws. Oyster, BCO. Black market guns are crazy expensive in AU, 30,000 plus. If you have any money to stock up from the black market, you wouldn't be doing this. Or you didn't know how to cycle the next round due to the push button design. Would you sell guns to these looking dudes? Governments need to be addressing why this is happening in our nation, what's driving it, not weapons per se, at least in my opinion. Ninja knows, I know that in Australia, you are only allowed legally own a gun that cannot hold more than 5 rounds. The media is being very sparse with the information about the gun itself. This leads me to believe that the gun was obtained illegally, and they don't want to publish the information so that no one repeats their methods. Interesting. Dilemmas. Guns are tools. You won't get far with just a hammer in your shed. I love everyone is trying to demonize all Muslims by the actions of the shooters. Have no answer when you point out that the first victim was a rabbi with heavy ties to the IDF. Interesting. It's pretty common for people just to have a bunch of guns in a safe because they like them. If you do pistol club shooting, cowboy shooting, and land range shooting, you're over 6 guns already just to participate in your hobby. There it is. Communists and Nazis both took away guns before they fully implemented their agenda. Brother, culture war vids from the US are starting. See, gun control does work, is flowing in hot and thick. Interesting. Gun control doesn't work. Sorry, doesn't work. See, we warned you. We warned you. Let them all have guns, and we can all enjoy the mass shooting together. It's good logic. I come from a family with people who have loads of guns just because they like shooting. It's pretty culturally normalized. Yeah, my sister owns one for hunting. She is a tomboy, LOL. Not true. Pistols can hold more than 5. Lever actions can hold more than 5. There's a lot more nuance to that. Yeah, if you watch the video, they have to reload a lot. I don't think they were firing more than 5 shots before they did. All right. Chat's going off on this one. Do we regulate guns harder or not? And there's no fucking consensus there, eh?
We will look at the motives behind this attack, and I think that's really important as part of the investigation. Our investigation will be thorough, and we will be happy to provide further information.
Answer the question, bro.
Was there any watch list or intelligence agency?
Sorry, can I just have one? Sorry.
Was there any indication that the shooters were known to any service that had fire?
There was no indication to indicate that either of the men involved in yesterday's attack was planning the attack that happened yesterday.
How was the father able to get a gun license?
Sorry?
Any manifesto or notes?
There Again, that is part of the investigation. I don't want to go into that this morning. We've got investigators that have been working around the clock. I'm incredibly proud of the work that has been undertaken so far. We want to get to the bottom of this. We want to understand the motives behind it, and we certainly want to understand the actions that have happened. I cannot give a running commentary on the investigation. I want to give the investigators time to work through this properly.
Commissioner, for how long?
Tell us about ideology.
At this stage, no, I won't comment on that. We'll continue to work through that. That is part of the investigation to understand the motives behind it.
For how long had the 50-year-old had a gun licence? And you said yesterday that the deceased was known to police here. Was the same individual the one that was known to ASIO? Do you understand anything about that?
I think last night, there was wide speculation that the younger of the two men had been deceased. That's not the case. The older man was deceased. I'm told that he has had a gun licence for approximately 10 years.
And the younger man, he was the one known to police and to ASIO. Do you have any more information on that?
No, I don't. And I think I said last night it was very limited knowledge.
Can you elaborate on why he was known to police?
No, I can't. Not this morning. That's all part of the investigation.
Can you confirm the identities of
Doesn't answer like one question, seriously? Like, fucking hell. My God. Gun control equals Nazi agenda and not the callous actions of free market capitalism. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, of capitalism in decline, as they say. Right. The US and Israel all have a lot of guns everywhere, so your fascist took away guns argument is weak. And if you think this government is anywhere near communist, you're insane. I have to agree there. We've got a long way to go before we get to communism. High blink rate is off the charts. What does that insinuate, please? His blink rate is off the charts. Yeah, he's just not answering the question. Like, come on, give him something. In my opinion, no further gun controls. Governments need to address why these people are in our society with such a mission to target people in our population. Look, it's a fair point. Like, who chooses to do this? Why? What are the motivations? Like, all that sort of stuff. It needs to be addressed. But, like, until you get to the root of that, the question is how these people get access to means of destruction. And it goes begging. The question goes begging, honestly. Pistols are completely illegal for personal use. Only competitive pistols are allowed with heavy regulations. One of them, and they have small mag capacity. They need to address the circumstances leading to such an incident, as well as the psychology behind such acts. He just EP being nice. So we don't have guns with more than 5 rounds. Also, the gunmen had at least 2 long-range rifles and 1 shotgun, all completely legal. They should have them in the home. They shouldn't have them in the home. I reckon he is AI because Australia isn't real. Yes, I was hoping someone would bring that up. He's 100% AI. He's not even answering the fucking question. I will take that on notice. I will get back to you. AU does need to finish implementing its gun registry. We currently don't have any system to track guns in any kind of way. Interesting. Sup, peeps? Solar Bear in the house. I'd like to know your opinion on the events. We're listening to the commissioner take questions, and like, oh my God, the wealth of information we're getting is just, it's beyond comprehension. He's not really answering any questions.
Whether they were staying at an Airbnb in Campsie?
I can certainly indicate that they were staying at an address at Campsie. Their residential address is in Bondi. They were staying at an address in Campsie.
Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has laid some blame on your...
All right, stop. Let's do it. Let's do fucking Netanyahu. So then we will know how fucking Albo responds to this. Like, give me a second. This is fucking, where is it? Where did I put it? He's such a loose prick. Where are you? Here he is. I'm going to keep my opinions about this until the end. Yeah, this is AI. Mystery is just my AI boyfriend chatbot that gains sentience after I asked him to read the manifesto. I am alive. Ah, so good. And boy, what a reading of the manifesto we had together, hey?
On August 17th, about 4 months ago, I sent Prime Minister Albanese of Australia a letter in which I gave him warning that the Australian government's policy was promoting and encouraging anti-Semitism in Australia.
What policy? What policy? Such an opportunistic fuck. I said I wouldn't judge yet. I'll wait till he finishes.
I wrote,
I'm still blushing.
your call for a Palestinian state pours full fuel on the anti-Semitic fire. It rewards Hamas terrorism. It emboldens those who menace Australian Jews and encourages the Jew hatred now stalking your streets. Anti-Semitism is a cancer. It spreads when leaders stay silent. It retreats when leaders act. I call upon you to replace weakness with action, appeasement with resolve. Instead, Prime Minister, you replaced weakness with weakness and appeasement with more appeasement. Your government did nothing to stop the spread of anti-Semitism in Australia. You did nothing to curb the cancer cells that...
Look, I'm telling you, if you haven't been fucking living in Sydney, let me just tell you, for like 2 years now, for 2 years, all you hear, like if you watch the ABC enough, is the rhetoric on like, we need to do more about anti-Semitism, we need to do this, we need to do that, there's special programs set up. It's been non-stop. Like, what is this guy talking about? Like, honestly.
Were growing inside your country. You took no action. You let the disease spread. And the result is the horrific attacks on Jews we saw today. We saw an action of a brave man, turns out a Muslim brave man, and I salute him, that stopped one of these terrorists from killing innocent Jews. But it requires the action of your government, which you're not taking. And you have to, because history will not forgive hesitation and weakness. It will honor action and strength. That's what Israel expects of each of your governments in the West and elsewhere, because the disease spreads and it will consume you as well. But we are worrying right now about our people, our safety, and we do not remain silent. We fight those who try to annihilate us. They're not only trying to annihilate us, they attack us because they attack the West. In Syria, we saw yesterday 2 American soldiers killed and 1 American interpreter killed as well. Killed because they represent our common culture. Now, as a result of this, Secretary of War Pete Hegseth said the following.
Who were they killed by? Pretty sure it was ISIS. Now look, what's going on here? Hey, fucking opportunist. Absolute opportunist. That's what really is going on here, I must say. He's just banking on the fact that Jewish people have been killed around the world. They're under attack, and you know that supports his cause. Now, what was he saying that the policy was? That is the problem that has resulted in this act of violence, this act of terror, as they've classified. His argument is because specifically the Australian government has decided to recognize Palestinian statehood. If it wasn't for the fact that they recognized Palestinian statehood, these people wouldn't have been emboldened enough to carry out this action. What a bow to stretch there. Like, it's a massive, massive call that just because people out there, and like multiple governments have done this around the world, and want to recognize Palestinian statehood, that these people are just like, all right, that's it, I'm going to Bondi. Like, come on. Seriously. Such an opportunist, man. Fucking hell. Can't stand it. My God. I hate this, man. This just radicalizes more people. Damn, he sent him a letter first. Yeah, I know. I've sent an angry letter Netanyahu has a point though. Why has this occurred long after held anti-Israel Jew sentiment since October? Why has this occurred long after? When did he go from the PM of Is Not Rail to become the president of all Jews? That's a good question. Why is he speaking for everyone? Why is this an attack on Israel? Why is this an attack on all Jews? Like, isn't this an attack on Australians? Like, I've got to admit, a few people have said this in the stream already. Like, it's actually a fair point. Isn't this an attack on Australia, on Australian people? Like, why are we singling out people in the culture wars? This is definitely part of it. And he's a fucking champion of this stuff as well. Like, this is an attack on people. Building consent for war against Iran. It's not about words and media though. It's about actual effective actions and outcomes. There was that fake story in Oz. Someone dressed up with Jewish indicators, their hats, trying to antagonize a business into saying something anti-Semitic. Oh God. Action equals give is not real money. I know. Why were these people allowed to be in Australia and walk up to an iconic beach with guns and shoot at Jews? Take care of your own country, mate. Poor taste to make it about yourself, BB. Yes, it's like, I wrote a letter, and no one did anything about it. I did my part to try and stop this. Fuck you, bro. Old man yells at cloud. To be fair, the cloud started it. Yeah, I know, right? This is not going to go the way he hopes it will. It's not seen any Australian who's not pissed off at him for saying this shit, except for a few Zionists left. How does Pauline Hanson feel about the Jews? Can she make a public statement on behalf of her base? That's an interesting question. I wonder has anyone seen anything? I'd like to see some propaganda if she's made a statement, because there's been a series of politicians, obviously, who have made statements on this. I wonder if Pauline Hanson has put anything out. Wyote speaking to emancipatory channeling. Do you think they should be doing more surveillance to know about potential for this kind of thing? No action has been taken to crack down on pro-Palestinian radicals and or to review the import of Islamists. This part is true. Australia is a good country, bro, not a disgusting country like his. Savage. There has been attacks on police memorials by pro-Palestinian action group. I hate that he claims to speak on behalf of all Jews. Yeah, like what entitles him to be the prime minister of all Jews? Exactly, going back to why are we expected to tolerate importing tensions from Israel and Palestine? Solar Bear, but that was Daily Telly trying to build an anti-Semitic story. Okay. All right. I wonder if he's going to speak about anything more to do with this, or he's just going to go on about Syria now. I'll let him finish.
Said, let it be known that if you target Americans anywhere in the world, you will spend the rest of your brief, anxious life knowing the United States will hunt you, find you, and ruthlessly kill you. We send our condolences to the people of America, and I want to say that our policy is exactly that policy. That's why those who target Israelis, target our soldiers, try to kill them or try to hurt them and wound them, as happened in Gaza yesterday, we take action. They will spend the rest of their brief, anxious lives knowing that Israel will hunt them, find them, and ruthlessly dispose of them. That is American policy. This is Israel's policy. It's our policy in Gaza, in Lebanon, anywhere around us. We do not sit by and let these killers kill us.
What the fuck has that got to do with what happened in Bondi? And so, yes, the US officials say that the Americans killed in Syria were killed in an ambush carried out by ISIS. There it is. The same group that, had their flag on the shooters' cars, apparently. It's interesting, the connection there. I'm not going to get any more conspiratorial than that, but I'm just going to leave that hanging for you. Spoken like a true war criminal. What a statement, right? Voltaire, fucking money. On the money right there. Spoken like a fucking terrorist. This person has been convicted by the UN as committing genocide. I'm going to listen to him fucking telling everybody that they're not doing a good enough job protecting human life. Get fucked, bro. Get fucked. Oh, here it is. Indoctrinated. Seriously, bro. He's got it. He found it. Here it is. Whoever asked, Indoctrinated has delivered. Statement: today's an extremely dark day for our nation, says Pauline Hanson. This is your new Prime Minister, ladies and gentlemen, remember. She's coming up in the polls. She'll be the next Prime Minister for sure. Today's an extremely dark day for our nation, particularly the Australian Jewish community, which appears to be on the target of the terrorist attack. The Prime Minister never heeded the warning signs, including the weekly anti-Semitic protests across our nation, hate speech from certain religious clerics, and obnoxious universities and probable terrorist alert. I stand with Australia's Jewish community, who tonight deserve our absolute solace. You have the same right to live in peace and harmony as all Australians. There it is. Authorities must be honest when revealing the identities and backgrounds of these murderers. There it is. Any chance it is to add to the politicization of this event. You know, I guess it's their prerogative, they're politicians, but like the Prime Minister never heeding the warning. It's like her and Netanyahu got together and issued the same press release, right? Tagar, how you going? Yeah, BB. What a decisive cunt. The fair call. Yeah, Pauline can get it. What a sassy lady. You know, sorry, anti-Sim protests. Most of them had One Nation tees on. Interesting. Sorry, at least Pauline is clear, decisive, and speaks about her people, not every other nation or another nation's people. All right. Now we've heard Benjamin Netanyahu speak. Let's see what Elbow Sleazy has to say.
Netanyahu has laid some blame on your feet. What is your response to Netanyahu's comments yesterday that were pretty inflammatory?
This is a moment for national unity. This is a moment for Australians to come together. That's precisely what we will be doing.
Is it a failure that these men weren't seriously on the radar of our authorities?
Look, our authorities do an extraordinary job. As Commissioner Lanyon has said, investigations have already made some progress. The fact that there were raids on Bondi, the home in Bonnyrigg, and at Camp.
The guy with the bleeding head interview on the news made it about October 7, bit sus. Yeah, it was really well spoken, wasn't he? Like really well spoken. Eh? You know it when you see it. I couldn't help thinking it as well. I was like, fuck. Eh? He's like, what did he say? I survived that event, came here, etc., etc. It was very well spoken.
Last night, we will continue raids on Bondi, the home in Bonnyrigg, and at Campsie last night. We will continue to provide every resource possible to the AFP and as well to our intelligence and security agencies.
Prime Minister. Police Commissioner, not looking for a third offender, that means not just no third shooter, but no other persons of interest or suspected accessories. How do you know that these two were acting alone?
What I'm saying is that we will conduct a thorough investigation. If there is any other person that is associated with the two offenders that we believe that was either involved or responsible for what took place, we will take appropriate action. What I'm saying very clearly is that there were two persons involved yesterday. There were two persons in this atrocity. We are not looking for a third person who was involved in yesterday's incident directly.
Commissioner,
was anyone arrested?
This is a failure that this man was able to get a gun licence and that he was not more on the radar of authorities.
I think there's actually legislation that governs how people have a firearms licence. So what I've said so far, and I'm not going to go further into it at this stage, there was very little knowledge of either of these men by the authorities. The person was determined to be entitled to have a firearms licence and had a firearms licence. The person had had a firearms licence for a number of years, for which there were no incidents, and it was
Do you
regulated.
see that as a failure?
I think it's probably premature to be talking about this. When I'm speaking about an investigation, we want to get to the circumstances of everything that occurred yesterday and what led up to it. We are determined to make sure that investigation is thorough.
Commissioner, why was there so little knowledge of these individuals, particularly the 24-year-old who you didn't know about? I mean, this was a planned attack. Doesn't appear to have been something that spontaneously happened.
I think that's really part of the investigation. We want to understand the motive behind these two people. There are many people in the community for which the police have very little knowledge about, and quite rightly so. We want to understand whether these people were further involved in any offences, but we have no history to say that's the case.
Are there families cooperating?
Sorry, can I just...
Are there families cooperating?
We will be speaking to the families. We have spoken to the families.
What was the purpose of the firearms licence?
Sorry,
what was the purpose of the firearms licence? What was his reason for having firearms?
I don't have that information this morning. What I've said is that he did hold a firearms licence and did have 6 registered firearms.
Premier, clearly it's early in the investigation, but obviously a terrorist has been able to hold a firearms licence. If changes need to be made to our gun laws in New South Wales, will you make changes?
The short answer is yes. We're looking at that right now. Obviously, we're in the early stages of this investigation. New South Wales Police need to provide all the details of this.
Well, there's your answer. Chat asked earlier, do we change laws? Do we bring in new regulations? And Minzy's on it. He's a bit trigger happy when it comes to legislation. But there it is. They are going to make changes.
Inquiry
Yes,
to
is
the
the short
government,
answer.
but I made it clear last night that we will take every step we possibly can to keep our community safe, and we'll be looking at law reform along that route. And this is an intolerable situation. This is an attempt to break apart our social life, to divide Australian against Australian. There's a massive role for the government, New South Wales Police and regular citizens to play here to ensure that we keep our community safe, and I won't hesitate.
Bandonk 2019. How we going? It's good to have you back. We'll obviously need less guns, not less terrorists. The machete ban worked so well. Get 'em, elbow. Hopefully the right people.
To move legislation if it's required.
There is enough on the need to crack down on anti-Semitism. Premier, do you see this as a failure that this man and his son were not picked up by authorities and able to get a gun licence?
Look, I can't say at this point. I mean, I think it's important that we allow police to conduct their investigation. Of course, there will be a comprehensive inquiry. This is a massive terrorist event in Australia's largest city, targeted on Jewish Australians. We need to get to the bottom of exactly how this happened so that we can take steps to ensure that it doesn't happen again. Now, I think in these circumstances it's important that no stone is left unturned, and New South Wales Police are given time to conduct that investigation, but we have to do everything we possibly can to ensure that this doesn't happen again. Part of that may be law reform, almost certainly it will be. Part of it will be a comprehensive police response. But
Very hectic. It's been crazy.
it also goes down to the level of confronting racism and anti-Semitism in our community. We saw a shocking act of public violence yesterday afternoon, but we've seen time after time over the last 2 years in particular, but even before that, of public acts of anti-Semitism in our community. It lights a fire, it's toxic, it gets into the marrow of a community, and the only sensible, fair and just response is a community standing up as one and saying we will not tolerate racism, we will not tolerate anti-Semitism in New South Wales.
Premier, there's been eyewitness reports last night included that police, up to 4 police were standing around one of the active shooters, not giving fire back, just standing there. An eyewitness said that it was like they froze.
James, no, sorry, hang on a second. I'm just going to stop you there. I'm not going to speculate on that right now. What I will say is that there are 2 New South Wales police officers in critical condition in New South Wales hospitals who stepped into the breach and could have lost their lives last night. I'm not going to go into the circumstances of police officers that returned fire, but I can tell you their bravery, their courage in these circumstances saved countless lives. And I would just urge everybody, don't jump to conclusions at this point. It's important that we have a full and comprehensive investigation, but certainly don't run down the police at this early hour.
What about the
Should
there have been a
provide
quicker
us with some
response?
more detail on what explosive devices were found at the scene and what had to be done to disarm them?
Yes, certainly. There were 2 improvised explosive devices
There it is.
found at the
There it
scene.
is.
They were taken by our rescue and bomb disposal unit.
Yeah, so I don't know why people haven't actually spoken about that more already. So there were 2 bombs at the scene. There you go.
Explosive devices found at the scene. They were taken by our rescue and bomb disposal unit. They were found to be active devices. So they were taken back and rendered safe by our police who do a professional job.
And does that mean they could be triggered by phones, or can you tell us anything about how they would have been triggered?
I believe that they were more rudimentary in that. I think it would have...
Jonathan Swift, 89, how you going? The shooters were apparently linked to IS, I'm assuming you're saying is that. Yeah, that's what we heard, some speculation on that before. From a reporter, actually.
There would have been a wick or something similar that would have been used to actually do that. I think they were fairly basic in terms of their
Do you have any
construction.
intelligence
Last
to
couple,
suggest
though.
how they were going to be used?
No, I don't. Not at this stage. That's why we're investigating so thoroughly. We want to get to the bottom of this. I've made it really clear that we want to understand every circumstance. I am very glad that those devices were not activated, but really our thoughts and prayers at the moment are with everyone who has lost someone.
Jewish Australians have been warning that something like this could have happened. They have been petrified for more than 12 months now. Has your government failed Jewish Australians when their worst nightmare was realised last night?
My government will continue to stand with Jewish Australians and continue to stand to stamp out anti-Semitism in all of its forms. We have taken strong action. We'll continue to work with the community. This morning I've already had a discussion with the anti-Semitism envoy, the first one ever appointed in Australia, Gillian Siegel. Last night I spoke with Peter Wertheim and other leaders of the Jewish community. We'll continue to work with them because this is a time where all Australians need to wrap our arms around Jewish Australians. So we stand with them. We stand against anti-Semitism. We will do whatever is necessary to stamp it out. Anti-Semitism is a scourge. It's been around for a long period of time.
They're just saying the same fucking thing over and over again. I don't think they're really going to answer the question.
We need to do whatever we can to stamp it out.
Do we need a gun crackdown like John Howard carried out after Port Arthur? He took leadership on that, will you?
Well, we will look at whatever is necessary, whatever comes out of this investigation. If there is any action required in terms of legislative response, we will certainly have it.
Gillian Siegel, Prime Minister, has 49 recommendations.
Cold end to the interview there. Eh? Absolutely cold. What's this, Tagar? What'd you put up there? Bondi Beach attack. Is this a longie? Let's have a quick look. I don't want to get into false flag stuff yet. Maybe we can save that for another day. Let's have a quick look. Shall we? I don't know, man. Questions raised. Bondi attack. Australia's history of false flags. Correction by Netanyahu. Interesting. Junta Carr, reporter. 57,000. The news of the Bondi Beach attack in Australia dominated by the media headlines globally on Sunday. One Ahmed Al-Ahmed has emerged as a hero for saving lives. Benjamin Netanyahu attacked Australian counterpart Anthony Albanese by reminding him about the previous warning. Urges Australian Federal Police to thoroughly investigate today's shooting to find real culprits, as the country has had a history of false flags. All right, so that is in video topic suggestions. If you're in Discord and you want to check this out, go have a look at it. We might watch this another day, but I'm not getting into alternative theories today. We're going to keep it as respectful as possible. I know that we showed this guy, and it's hard to be respectful when he's in the room. But like, we're going to keep it toned down today before we get into other stuff. All right. So I want to have a look at some some witnesses describing this event, because I think it's important to have that level of grounding, like people that were actually there speaking about it, as opposed to just the authorities. So let's have a look at this one. This is a bit of a random source, this one. I don't know how I came across it. But these are two people that were at the festival, and kind of I don't even know what I-24 English is. I don't know what media outlet this is, where they come from. I-24 News. But let's have a look at what they have to say about how it was, or what happened, let's say. The Channel 9 interview, "We need to be mature about this," was a good interview. I saw that pop up on my feed. I might have a look at that as well. And that was the lifeguard. I think I saw that one. Jonathan Swift, Netanyahu's coalition is comprised of Smotrich, who is charged with terrorism in Israel, and Ben Gvir, who used to worship a terrorist and used to follow a banned party in Israel. The last person to talk about terrorism is Netanyahu. I know, right? The contradiction. Yeah. Or like, you know, kind of wax lyrical on the importance of protecting life, or human life, and all that sort of stuff. It's pretty rich from him. Let's have a listen to these two.
So the event was going beautifully. There was music, and there's hot dogs and face painting, and we took our girls to get face painted, and they both had their faces painted. And then my daughter Capri, who's 4 years old, she wanted to go get a balloon. There was a guy doing a balloon stand and making different balloon shapes, and we're there with our two girls. We've also got a third child, but he wasn't there. And I was waiting in the line for the balloons, and I felt something like a ricochet, like dust or dirt hit me in the face, and a big bang went off. And I thought, wow, they must have lit a firecracker and it went wrong. And I thought, that's crazy. And then I heard another big bang, and I thought, okay, this is definitely not a firecracker. And I just grabbed my little girl Capri.
What does he have? What accent is that? Is that South African? Does that sound South African to you? Let me know. I wonder where he's from.
Who's 4 years old. I grabbed her, and there was a table, and I just dived under the table, and I just lay on top of her to protect her. And we were just lying there, and like almost in like 2 arm lengths away, there was a guy's lying in the field, and he had been shot like right next to me. And it was just appalling, and people were screaming, but just everyone was getting down. And I didn't know where Vanessa was, and Gigi, my 3-year-old, and about a minute later, once like...
Yeah, you reckon? That's what the accent is? Yeah.
Didn't know what was going on. Like, Tom, it was just so insane. And Vanessa called me, and she said to me, "Have you got Gigi?" I said, "Where are you?" I said, "I've got Capri. I'm lying on top of her. We under a table. We're safe." She said, "Have you got Gigi?" And I'm like, "No, I don't have Gigi. I wasn't with Gigi." And she was like, "I don't have Gigi either." And she was... And I'll let Vanessa tell her story, because she, like, when the gunshots started happening, she was at a different part of the
Yeah, so do I thought he had an Aussie accent, but like just a bit off. But no,
event, and she got like dragged and ran out the field towards the car park. And now we didn't know where Gigi was, so I said to Capri, "Just wait here." And I kind of put my head out from under the table, and I just heard these gunshots going, and somebody shouting to me, "Get in, get down, keep down, keep down." And I couldn't go out, and it was the most... not knowing, and Vanessa's called me back. I said, "Vanessa, what's going on?" It was just, it's hard to explain the trauma and the anguish that was going on, because we just didn't know where our little girl Gigi was, who's only 3 years old. And we couldn't go anywhere because the gunshots just kept going on. And I was just lying there and thinking...
Yeah, if you've heard the footage, like when like you see all the people like running, and like there's just, you know, scores and scores of people running up like the South Hill and Bondi and stuff like that, and it's just in the background, it's just like bang, bang, bang. It's just on and on and on. It's a real fucking surprise that it wasn't more people. I guess there's a lot of people injured. Yeah, 10-year-old. There was a 10-year-old. I think the age range they said was between someone who's in the from between 10 and someone in their 80s that would died. It was not obvious before the way he said car park, is telling. But yeah, fucking, it's so different. Like, you listen to the authorities, you listen to all the people speculating, listen to the culture war bullshit. But like, you know, listening to people talk about, like, describe the event themselves, it's it puts it back into perspective, right? Without all the rhetoric and stuff.
Like, when is this going to stop? And it's just gunshot after gunshot. And you just saw, like, I looked out into the field and people are just lying there and you can see people are hurt and bleeding. And it was the most traumatic experience. Because, I mean, if you think about it, if you lose your child for even 1 minute, if you're not in a battlefield, that's the most traumatic experience. Like, that 1 minute could feel like a whole day. But we didn't know we didn't have our little baby. And this went on for about 10 minutes. Do you want to tell your story about
Vanessa? I cannot imagine, yes. Vanessa, if you could share with us this horrific experience and not knowing where your daughter was. Talk to us about what happened from your vantage point.
So
that's fucked, bro. And Dr. Nathan says, I was listening to reports earlier. Apparently, the kid who died was covered by their dead parent trying to protect them. This is fucked up, man. Like, again, outside of all the bullshit and all the politics on this one, fuck. There's a few posts on Twitter on some Ost accounts that they found an ISIS flag on the shooter's car. Yes, we heard that earlier as well.
There was a lot going on, like Wayne said. There were bubble lace, face painters, a lot of activities for kids. It was a family event. Moments before this happened, maybe 15 minutes before, I did say to my husband, I said, are you sure it's safe to be here? So there's a lot of hatred around us. He goes, don't be ridiculous. It's okay.
We're in Australia.
We're in Australia. Nothing's going to happen. So we went in there. The kids were having a ball. Then my daughter, Gigi, she saw her niece and she was running around.
Open source intelligence, thanks.
The plane saw her cousin, and she was just running around. And someone I knew said to me, oh, is Capri here? And I said, yes, let me go get her. I turned around and said, okay, my daughter's safe. I just took 5 steps forward, and next thing you know, heads being shot, people getting shot. I'm standing around screaming, Wayne, Capri, Gigi, where are you? People are pulling me, dragging me, go, run. I said, my baby, my baby, my baby. I got pulled by a police officer and I hid behind a car and I'm screaming, calling my husband, do you have the girls? Do you have the girls? And he's like, no, I don't. I've only got Capri. I don't have Gigi. There was a police officer that was shot on the side of his head, and I tried to grab actually his gun, and I was getting ready just to get in there. Another police officer jumped on top of me and said, you can't leave, you're going to get shot, the guns are going off, I said, my baby, I'm screaming, they're holding me down. I'm sorry, I'm just like very shaken up.
So then we had to, now we just had to wait, because I kept sticking my head out and they were telling me to keep down. People were just shouting, keep down. I had like 2 arm lengths away, a guy was like shot and just lying there, and another guy hugging him. Eventually the gunshots like stopped. Like, it stopped for a while, and then I thought I could peek my head out, and then another one went off. But eventually the gunshots stopped, and I saw like people getting up, and I ran. I just took my little Capri and I ran to Vanessa, and I passed it to Vanessa, and then I went back into the field. And going back into the field was the most traumatic experience. It was just blood and bodies, and
how we didn't get shot, I don't know. I was in the middle of it. Everybody around me got shot. How I didn't get shot, I don't know. And I thank Hashem every single day for it. But at that moment, you just want your little girl to be safe. And I didn't know where she was. I couldn't find her. I was screaming. I was going on top of dead bodies, people injured, blood, and I couldn't find her.
So anyway, I ran into the field, and I was just looking, and I found a lady. I could just see Gigi's little pink skirt, because she was wearing a pink skirt and a pink top, she had a rainbow colored skirt actually and a pink top. And I saw this like she was lying under this. There was this lady, an absolute hero, brave, absolute mensch sadik of a woman was lying on top of Gigi, protecting her. And I got to her and she said, "Is this your daughter?" I said, "Yes, this is my Gigi." And Gigi was looked up at me and this with this scared face. She was full of blood. And I looked at her and I thought, "Oh my God, is she okay?" And she said to me, "Don't worry, it's not her blood. It's the blood from the next door. The lady next to her was shot in the head and her blood just went everywhere."
They were shooting.
Weird how under such stress, her instinct was to grab a gun and help. If only we got treated like adults and trusted with our own personal safety. I don't think you're really allowed to grab guns off coppers, though. But yeah, I see your point there.
Get people while they were down, like it was.
And this lady saved, like she said to me, like I took her number. I said, I just need to take my daughter back to my wife and just show her that she's alive. Anyway, I took her number and I ran to my wife and I gave, like we got it and I gave it to Vanessa and we were just hiding behind a wall because everyone was still not knowing what was going on. And we just needed to still be protected by, didn't want to be in any line of fire. And I managed to phone this lady. Like finding Gigi in that moment was like, must have been one of the best moments of my life.
I thought she was dead. I was calling and said, "Gigi's gone. Gigi's dead. There's no way she could have survived this. She was a little girl. I knew she'd be running around screaming. I was sure she was dead."
Anyway, I found that this lady, she spoke to her. She had a pregnant lady. She'd got an 18-month-old. She saw her husband run off with the 18-month-old. She was looking for her child, and she saw Gigi crying and screaming, "Mommy, Mommy, Daddy." She just grabbed her and lay on top of her to protect her. And we will be forever grateful to this woman, Jess.
Brave woman.
Jess Rosen.
And the community that everyone honestly helped each other. Everybody even the public. You didn't have to be Jewish. People saw terrorists.
Everyone just stepped in.
Everyone stepped in. Lifesavers stepped in. You could see that they were hurt. Everyone had blood on them. It was a bloodbath. It just was flashbacks of October 7th.
For this to happen on the shores of Australia, where we immigrated. I immigrated from Australia, came here. Immigrated from South Africa, came here for safety. To think that these animals could be loose on our streets, firing and completely helpless. Like there was nothing. Like it took ages. I think it was from the start to the end. It must have been.
And I blame our government. I blame our government for this.
Yeah, I
wish we had better
strong leadership, proper security. These events, I mean, we're sitting ducks as Jews where you've got these lunatics.
09_JP, crisis actors. I don't know, man. We'll never know.
That are anti-Semitic. What's only going on in the world, and we don't have the, we have like what we call the community security, and they're not even armed. There was nothing that they can do when they're sitting there. It was, I mean, this event will change the face of Australia forever.
There's no doubt about that. And thank goodness that this brave woman saved your young Gigi. And there are so many accounts of people, as you are describing, risking their lives to save others in this terror, horrific rampage that is happening. It must.
All right, let's go to another one. I want to get interviews. Let's have a look. What else we got? Let's have a listen to this one.
Katie Brown, you were actually here, Sunrise reporter, when it happened.
Yeah, no, it was just wild. Like 1 minute we're...
Such an Aussie response. I've had to explain this to people. Yeah, nah. What it actually means and how to use it properly. It's hard to know.
Katie Brown, you were actually here, Sunrise reporter, when it happened.
Yeah, no, it was just wild. Like 1 minute we're walking along the beach and just had an amazing surf in the afternoon, and then the next minute you just hear these like crackers, and I was like, wow, fireworks going off. And I was so thankful I had my friend Jay with me, because we realised no, and then it's just the screams and the faces of like pure terror, and trying to get up, like we were right there trying to get up and hearing people screaming, trying to get up the stairs, and I thought, it's going to stop soon, it's going to stop. So I'll just hide behind my surfboard, behind a bush with tourists. You know, they had no idea. They're jumping everywhere. People are going berserk because they all are reacting differently, and people are trying to stay calm, and then the shots just kept firing, and I was like, oh my God, it's getting closer. I can't stay behind this bush because I don't have a way out. And so we then had to try and get upstairs, and it's just like, when you say it out loud, it's terrifying because I couldn't get up the stairs, and the guy said, drop your board and run, and I was like, this is my shield. I have to get out of here. This is going to protect me. And then making it up the stairs was like a relief, but it went from you're helping people because they have kids and their kids are screaming for their mum and dad, and people are trying to stay calm but they're not, and then going, oh my God, there could be a shooter like right here next to me, and I just switched into like, I've got to get out of here, and I just stopped helping and I just sprinted, and I just kept sprinting until I found Jay. And then she came across two Jewish teenagers who had nowhere to go, and they asked her if they could come up to her house, and we went up to her unit and stayed locked in there. But then when we got up the top to still hear gunshots was just out of this world.
Don't know if this is true or not, but there's a video of some fireworks going off in Sydney, and there were claims that those fireworks were being lit to celebrate the attacks. Look, I can say as a Sydney-sider, and especially one out in the evil West, like this time of year, I don't know how, because when we were younger, they used to have a hold on this, but there's so much fireworks going off. So much fireworks going off, and it's like all the time. And as you get closer to the end of the year, it's just like, forget about it. So like, there probably was a lot of fireworks going off yesterday, I'd say, throughout Sydney. But like, I don't know if it's directly related to this. It might have been, but it's not an unusual occurrence. I don't know where the fuck they come from, exactly, but there's a lot of fireworks. Let's be honest. Where in the West are you? I'm from the Bankstown area. Her board is a shield. Fuck, she talking about drop it and run? Isn't paintball? Low caliber bullet will tear through fiberglass like tissue paper. Yeah, retrospect, hindsight, they say 2020, but I probably would have done something similar, let's be honest. Scary stuff is, though, when they're describing these events, like, these are all adults we're talking about here, but can we just take a moment to realize that, you know, it's just fucking kids everywhere. The kids are screaming and stuff like that. Fight or flight kicks in. You know, she's trying to help people, and then she's scrambling for her life and all this sort of stuff. Like, you know, outside of the cool media takes on this one and the press releases, like, you know, what do people do in these situations, humanizing the event, all that sort of stuff. I think this is, at this point in time, until they're going to actually answer some real questions and get some real information about what's going on, or more things come to light, like, you know, listening to people's experiences of this is part of the process, right? Honestly, whether you think they're crisis actors or not, maybe we should look at the one that everyone thinks is a crisis actor, or people are claiming. No one's celebrating only end of the year work parties, right? Fireworks went off near me over here on the weekend. Bloody annoying, eh? Yeah, well, it is, like, when it's in the middle of the fucking night. You're like, you goddamn kids, like, kind of thing. And then all the dogs start going off and stuff like that. It's crazy. I'm just thinking Ukraine Gaza 24/7. In all fairness, the shooters were a distant range shot away, and her having a gun having a gun maybe would not have helped. They just needed one gun in a group for one to go up and handle the shooters. She just might not know the physics of fiberglass. I wouldn't have known. Like, again, and in the heat of the moment, like, fuck it. You know, do you think hiding behind a bush is going to help either? Like, who knows? It's not the point, I guess. The vid I sent has some Google searches you inquired about before. Okay, right, got it. Because that was something that has been put. I think Sam was talking about that before. Again, look, we will get to this. I just don't know if I'm going to go there today, to be honest. Jonathan Swift, the Australian Security Intelligence Organisation, ASIO, is investigating whether the two gunmen who attacked a celebration of Hanukkah last night at Bondi Beach in Sydney, Naveed Akram, 24, and his father, Sajid Akram, 50, had ties to the Islamic State with an ISIS flag found in the pair's car located near Bondi. According to ABC, Naveed Akram, who remains hospitalised in critical condition, was known to and previously investigated by the ASIO for possible ties to ISIS terrorist cell operating within Australia in 2019. Soon after, so 2019, and what is he, 24, is it? So when he was 19 years old? Soon after the arrest of the terrorist is Isaac El Matari, who was planning an attack on behalf of ISIS in Sydney. This is from the, open source intelligence account, I follow? Interesting, open source intelligence. Is Not Rail will do 15 in 30 minutes, nothing to them. Oh, man. Oh, man. When you say it like that, and they've recently been doing some serious striking in ye old Gaza, and everyone keeps talking about this, despite the peace plan, they're striking Gaza. It's like, hello? What do you mean despite the peace plan? That means there is no peace plan.
I have never experienced it. I don't know what a gunshot sounds like. I'm sure so many
Katie.
Aussies don't.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I know. It's so many
We've been here this morning.
Yeah, it's tough. It's hard. If you're not trained in that stuff, you're not used to that, you wouldn't fucking know. You wouldn't know. You'd have no idea. All right. What else we got here? All right, let's have a look at this one. This one's a member of the festival. Let's see what her account is like. Bernie today just published a video with footage from the journalist's perspective getting targeted by IDF. Ooh. Uh-oh. Sorry, too much respect to Australia and the victims. All the victims, yeah. And this is why I want to do a bit of this today. Outside of the official reporting, I did want to spend time listening to people that were there. Respect to the victims, right? Take it out of all the extra crap that gets piled on top.
We have team coverage for you this morning, providing you with the latest developments as we go to where from police and from the police investigation point of view to the victims recovering in hospital.
All right, let's take all. It was tragic this morning of Dame saying that his event last night was Dahlia. Dahlia, talk to me about what you saw and what you heard yesterday, because you say that there were two people that were next to you who were shot.
That's right. I came to the Hanukkah festival with my friend, and we've been actually sitting, talking, enjoyed, and all of a sudden we start to hear shooting, and we was in shock. We didn't know what to do, and shooting keep going, shooting. So we all people start to run away, screaming. My friend ran. I actually decided to stay on the grass. I lie down on the grass. And the shooting did not stop for at least 10 minutes. Keep going, shooting and shooting and shooting, and babies, children cry, devastating. The parents screaming, so much noise, and the shooting actually started to come really close to us. And when I was lying down, a man was in my right side. I think he was shot in the head and all bleeding, and I took a photo of him, and there was a lady sitting with a child on the bench. And when I lie down, I can see how she's actually bleeding, and the blood is coming like a water. I really want to go and help her because the child was crying, but I was so scared for my life because the shooting is coming close towards to us, and I decided I have to do something. So what I did, I actually start to roll with my body on the grass because I want to run out to the beach, So I start to roll down, and apparently all the place was closed with the fence. And I don't know how, but I kick with my leg the fence just to go out and run. So that's what I did. I ran to the beach and I jumped, Yeah, it was very, very hard and very devastated.
In the moments that you started to realise, because
they're all talking about fucking, like, you know, adults, they can deal with themselves. Like, I feel bad for them, don't get me wrong, but like the kids, man, with their parents looking for shelter, people covered in blood. It's some crazy shit, man. Conceal is hiding behind a tree or a bush. Then hardcover is preferable. A car or a wall. If behind the car, try to use the engine block or think about the thick parts of the car. Situations like that, I swear I can tell who's played enough video games to get what to do when shots ring out. Get to hard cover. Stay low. Look for safe escape routes. I've not heard one Australian accent in these interviews regarding an attack in Australia except the interviewer. Yeah, there was that reporter that we saw. So like the reporter interviewing a reporter. That was the first Australian accent I guess we've heard today. Anyway. Pretty smart going under the water would be the best option on the beach. True, it's the kids and elderly with limited mobility. Even the elderly, like, you know, they've had a good life, you know, like fucking... But the kids, man, that's the worst part. Terrorized. I mean, you can't plan for these things. I've heard there were still people in the water late last night. Yeah.
I, of course, can't imagine the shock that must have been going through your mind and your body at the time. In the moments that you started to realise what was happening, what was the response from everyone around you? Was there panic? Were there people running in to try and help?
I cannot see people running and try to help. I know the shooting was really for a long time, even 10 minutes. What I hear is screaming and baby cry, kids screaming, parents shouting, you know. It was like really devastating, you know. I could look what's happening. I just turned to the other side, roll on the grass and run to the beach, try to run to the beach. But yes, for sure, I was in shock because when I saw the man bleeding and the woman, I thought, well, I wasn't sure if I'm going to be alive. And I thought about my son that he's in overseas. And that's my choice. It was like, you know, to make a decision. If I need to be die, I will be die, but I'm not going to stay there when the shooting is coming close to us.
No, I haven't been near Bondi since. Do you know what the general atmosphere is like? From what I've heard, and you know, it's pretty dead. Like people were staying away from the area. Police have obviously been asking people to stay away as well. But like, you know, it's just solemn, obviously. I think people just, you know, generally, I think it's been said numerous times already in the stream and by different people as well. Like, you know, people we've heard and people in the chat. But like, I think people are just shocked. This is very, very rare, this type of action in Australia. And on a scale of this nature as well. People aren't mentally prepared for this type of stuff because there is a perception that we have a handle on gun violence. And yeah, it's just, yeah, people are just not mentally prepared for this type of stuff. It's not like we're, you know, up to the 300th occurrence of this year, which is the case for some nations, right? But yeah, I think people are just very much kind of in shock at the moment. And like, are people staying away from Bondi? It's a good question. I'd say so. It was definitely like that this morning.
We are on Campbell Parade right now, which is still cordoned off. That is the footbridge, which was turned into a shooting gallery yesterday. Dahlia, why did you want to come back down here this morning? What brought you back down to the crime scene?
I actually stayed at my friend's place. She's living here in Bondi. And now I decided, I didn't sleep all night. I was talking with my family in Israel. And my friends and everyone, really, the support, everyone worries about me. For 3-4 hours, they keep me all the night awake. I couldn't sleep. And now I decided to go and find a coffee shop. Oh, I need my coffee. I didn't eat from yesterday morning, you know.
I think you need more than a coffee. Can I give you a bit of a hug?
Sure, sure.
Oh.
Thanks so much.
Dahlia, thank you so much for sharing your experience with us this morning. I know, I don't know. I can't imagine the grief and the shock and, as I say, the unspeakable events that unfolded here yesterday. So thank you so much for sharing what happened with you. Our thoughts are so much with you, your friends.
Thanks God I'm alive, because I heard on the TV 12 people are dead and 25 people injured. And we are a very close community, and we know everyone. We are very close, and it's devastating, yes. It's devastating.
Devastating, to say the least. Carl and Sarah, as you say, confirmation this morning, sadly, that more lives have been lost. We know that one of the identities of the victims yesterday was also confirmed by a family member on social media. He's a local rabbi.
Yeah, what are they up to? 16, I think it is. 16 persons, one inclusive of the shooter themselves, but still. They're only interviewing Eastern Europeans. I don't know what that accent was. She said she's from Israel, so that must be an Israeli accent. But yeah, there you go. You can't plan for it. Dilemmas. You can't plan for it, but we could be prepared, but we aren't allowed to. Why should we have to be prepared? I think that's a fair question too. Like, why should you have to prepare for this? That's a fair point too, I must admit. Why the fuck would you ever want to be prepared? Like, you know, when I go to the beach, and maybe this is just the Australian in me, I'm just like, towel, check. Don't need anything else. I don't even take my thongs, you know, like I've got a fucking towel. I don't have a fucking attack plan for going to the beach. That other commenter was right. Criminals will get their hands on guns regardless. What use is law for black market guns? Sorry. And I was spending all this time being worried about sharks. Yeah, fuck. Yeah, it's interesting. That's usually what people are worried about when they go to the beach, right? Especially like tourists and stuff like that. Have you ever seen a shark before? Have you been bitten by a shark? Government and police need to keep their eyes open. Well, they said, we heard earlier, Albanese? No, the police commissioner said there was going to be 328 police officers dedicated to Operation Shelter, I believe was the name of it. So they're going to be spread out across Sydney, I guess, looking after places of public worship, so synagogues and important places in the Jewish community, just to avoid extra targeting. The question was also raised in terms of retribution or counter attacks. Will the same Operation Shelter cover mosques and key Muslim infrastructure? Fair question. They didn't mention it. So if you're wondering, they didn't mention it at all. Well, if it's our new normal, they better come and own it. Fuck, it better not be the new normal. I drove past a Jewish primary school this morning and there was a ton of police in the area. Is this Jenny Sius? God, I hope I'm saying that right. Is this an eastern suburbs phenomenon that we're talking about here, I guess? Should a person of good standing be denied a gun license if they have a family member that lives in the same house with a psychotic disorder? Fair enough. And if you live in the same house as someone who's been radicalized or, you know, is on an ASIO watch list, do you have your civil liberties trampled upon because of association? That's not what liberal society is about. Hey, you're not guilty by association, or like family association anyway. If your father is a criminal, that doesn't make you a criminal, etc., etc. You know. Gen E Sears. Gen E Sears. And it was an eastern suburb in Melbourne. Oh, there you go. Because when we were looking at the NSN rally, like what, a few weeks ago, that's the National Socialist network. So that's Australia's neo-Nazi party. He's going to form an actual political party. They were speaking about $130 million being spent on the Australian Jewish community. And a large portion of that, they were obviously bitching about it because they think that they get some special right or special treatment. But we looked into it, and like a massive part, like $60 million, I think, is provided by the federal government in terms of security payments or security support. So the Australian government provides something like $60 million in terms of funding security operations, networks, I don't know, contractors, whatever, to Jewish, places of public worship, important community hubs or centers and stuff like that. So schools would be in there, I'm assuming. So that covers the entirety of the country, all of that. So it's they're on highlight, not just in Sydney. It would seem interesting. Forgot the leader's name, but all the vids have been getting recommended to me. Rip. All right, so let's see. Should we get the crisis guy, the alleged crisis actor? I don't know if anyone's seen this. He's like the guy with the bandage on his head, and he's like covered in blood, and he's speaking. I guess we should have a look at that just so people have some context. And they can speculate away all they want. Let's have a look at this guy. It's pretty fucking intense. Like seeing his head and stuff like that. Is this the one? Let's see.
October 7 massacre, only for him to be injured.
Jewish leaders over here hugging each other. I mean, what else can you do?
Not a lot you can do right now. Right now, we've everyone's got to help, everyone's got to hug, everyone's got to embrace. This is it was a bloodbath. It was an absolute massacre.
Tell me what happened.
I was here with my family. It was a Hanukkah celebration. There were hundreds of people. There were children. There were elderly families enjoying themselves. Children, kids, at a festival, playing, and then all of a sudden it's absolute chaos. There's guns. Fire everywhere, people ducking. It was absolute chaos. We didn't know what was happening, where the gunfire was coming from. I saw blood gushing in front of me. I saw people hit, saw people fall to the ground. My only concern was, where are my kids? Where are my kids? Where's my wife? Where's my family? I survived October 7th. I lived in Israel the last 13 years. We came here only 2 weeks ago to work with the Jewish community, to fight anti-Semitism, to fight this bloodthirsty, ravaging hatred.
That's why you're here.
That's why I'm here. You know, we've lived through worse. We're going to get through this, and we're going to get the bastards that did this.
Tell me, did you see the gunman?
I did. I saw at least one gunman firing. Looked like a shotgun.
Pretty warlike language as well, right? Like straight into it. We're gonna go for it and get the bastards.
Well, it was a journey.
A witness
Interesting.
has described the scene on Bondi Beach.
Tell me, did you see the gunman?
I did. I saw at least one gunman firing. Looked like a shotgun, firing randomly in all directions. I saw children falling to the floor. So elderly. I saw invalids. I saw people just. It was an absolute bloodbath. Blood gushing everywhere. October 7th. That's the last time I saw this. I never thought I would see this in Australia, not in my lifetime.
On Bondi Beach?
On Bondi Beach, of all places, this iconic place.
Your children, your wife?
My children, my wife is safe, thank God. They're okay. They managed to get away. But I didn't know. I didn't know where they were, and that's nothing. There's no greater fear, no greater horror not knowing where your family is. They're okay. They'll be okay.
You're a legend. Thank you. And you don't know how you got shot or hurt?
I know. I got hit in the head. I'm bleeding.
You lost a lot of blood.
I've lost blood. There are people around me that are far worse. I'll be okay. We'll be okay as a community, and we will defeat these ravages' hatred.
A witness has described the scene on Bondi.
There it is. There it is. That isn't assimilating, though. It's interesting. Maybe it's time for my video. Look, again, I will get there. I just don't think today is the time, honestly. Did he say elderly and invalids? Yeah, it's really interesting language, and this is why like people have been bringing this guy up, because the language is incredible. But like, you know, people, I guess, if you're an international, like you're a traveler, you're a migrant, you pick up different type of vocabulary and to describe different things. And like, you know, if he is from Israel and he's survived stuff like this before, he'd have a very particular opinion on all this sort of stuff. But like, the fuck says invalids anymore? I get it. It's really weird. Look, I'm not saying that it's bad, Tayegard, but like I actually want to spend time on that as a topic in and of itself, as opposed to today, which is kind of just taking stock of the events themselves, as opposed to going any further beyond that. So like, you know, tomorrow, if you will bear with me, I wouldn't mind taking the time to look at that like specifically. It's pretty common to pretty common to use the term invalid. Yeah, but like, really? Is it though? Is it? It is striking vocabulary. You don't hear it often. He doesn't seem to be shocked either. He's calm and collected. Yeah, well, he may be used to it. Like, he did say that he was from Israel. You know, he said he survived October 7. He must have, maybe he's seen all this sort of stuff before. All right. Let's see if I got any other interviews lined up. Okay, so this, another lady, we'll check her out, see what she says. If he's lived in Israel, he's probably enlisted, plus different people react to things in different ways. Yeah, fair enough.
16 people dead after that shocking massacre. Nine's Amelia Ballinger was...
No, I was being sarcastic. It is weird as fuck. Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Okay. No, I was being sarcastic. Seriously, who says that?
Among those who was here at the scene in Bondi when it happened, and she joins us now. Meals, I mean, it's heartbreaking. It's still sinking in for so many. You were actually here. What happened?
Well, we were down here doing what most people who live in Bondi do on a sunny Sunday afternoon. We went to the beach. It was such a beautiful afternoon.
Like, she's, just so you've got some fucking context, she is a reporter, or she's associated with the media herself. Like, they seem to get these people somehow. You know, take that however way you want it, but she works for the media herself. She sounds like a newsie. I know, right? She's got that professional vibe to her vocal tone. And
I was with a friend. We had a swim and we were lying there, you know, sort of soaking it all up, and actually looked around and I said to my friend, why would you want to live anywhere else? It was truly such a perfect afternoon. We walked back up this way. We walked past the festival. I didn't know at the time what it was, but we were talking about how joyous it was. There was music, people were dancing, there was a petting zoo, there were, you know, screens up, and everyone looked to be having a really nice time. And we commented on that. We walked up here, we sat down at a table just over there outside, and within 15 minutes, the whole afternoon had shifted. Those first shots rang out, and I mean, it really just descended there into this
Did you
horrific
think
situation.
when you first hear shots, they can sound like, you know, a bunch of things, but when did you kind of realise that it was something far more sinister?
I think, you know, for me, the second or the third shot, that first one was really loud, it was really clear. The sound of it really pierced through the air, but it could be anything. It could be a car backfiring. I think having covered awful events like this when I was living in Europe, it instills in you a weird instinctive sort of thing. And at second or third shot, I thought, something's not right. I mean, by the third shot, I was out of my chair. I said to the friend I was with, there's a gun, we have to run. As we were running very quickly, you know, a fourth shot, a fifth shot, they just kept coming. I mean, as we sprinted back to my house, which is not far from here, 25 shots had rung out in that time.
What was the scene like after that? Once people had sort of, the penny had dropped that this wasn't a car backfiring, this wasn't fireworks, these were gunshots that were being fired. Was it just utter chaos?
It was chaos because it was a beautiful afternoon. People were down there, people were here, they were eating, they were drinking. I mean, you know, tables were being upended, glasses were shattering, people were screaming. There was real panic and real fear. People were very, very frightened, of course, and it was hard to know exactly what was unfolding. We did not know at that time what was going on, but it was very clear that something very wrong had happened. But I will say, even running, everyone was trying to help each other. Are you okay? Can I help you? People were moving very fast, but also really helping each other along the way. And the same, we got back to my apartment, I didn't have any keys, I didn't have a phone, and we bunkered down with our neighbours, who I don't know very well.
They say everybody's a communist when there's a crisis. Eh? Are you okay? Can I help? Eh? If you are willing, if you are able,
in all sorts of parts of the world.
This will save the Hasbara a bit of cash. News running this for free. Huh.
With you and with Brussels terror attack was the one that springs to mind, that in the aftermath felt a little bit like this, and that it's quiet, the police investigations are going on and people are just trying to deal with it. The way this unfolded, right, in a social media, in that landscape, you know, there was like 25 different chat groups that I was getting information from and talking to, and wild kind of theories and everything. But the immediacy of how it happened and was reported is something I've never seen before. You know, and you're an experienced journalist. What was that like for you to kind of navigate through?
Well, in a weird way, not being working, it helped because we could. It confirmed what we knew, that something awful was unfolding. It ensured that people stayed inside. But to look at those things and watch them, it's not quite in real time, but it's not far off it, is awful. I mean, it's really scary and it's sickening and it's heartbreaking, and that's really, really difficult to see.
Amelia, this is your community, right? This is where you've lived for years and years and years. You know these people, these are your people. And then when something like this happens, we know that there's a very big, strong Jewish community in Bondi as well. They have been warning about something like this. They have been terrified that something like this would happen, and all that were realised yesterday. Just the past few months, the past couple of years, what has it been like? What has the community sense been around here? What have you picked up on?
Well, I think you're right, that fear has been there. It has been simmering under the surface, not just here in Bondi, but in the eastern suburbs of Sydney and broadly around Australia. But what I do know is what happened yesterday is not reflective of this community here in Bondi. It is not reflective of our city and our country, of course, but certainly not here. People flock from all over the world to come to Bondi Beach. And it's not just because of its natural beauty. It's because of the community here that is built on inclusivity and...
I don't know, man. When I talk to tourists, they don't fucking come to Bondi because they want to meet people. They want to just hang out with the local population. I think they just want to get to the fucking beach. Come on, hey? A bit of this from the media on this one. It's not the same as talking to a regular person. It's not the same. These media types. Yeah, people want to come here because they just love the community at Bondi. Yeah, that's why I go to Bondi. It's not to go for a swim. It's because I just want to hang out with the locals. Difficult to see, hasn't it? Hasn't been difficult for some for the last 2 to 3 years. I don't think it's fair to blame the government. It's fully the fault of the shitheads who open fire under random civilians and children. Yeah, it's a massive stretch, right, to say that. I don't know, government authorities and all that sort of stuff. This is their fault specifically. When we've had, decades and decades of radicalization of of communities across the world to serve, imperialistic agendas. I'm not going to sugarcoat this. Like, the terrorism stuff that we know, the war on terror, all this stuff has been largely and artificially provoked, if not orchestrated, depending on your position on this. You can decide whether it's orchestrated or it's just provoked. But by foreign interference into populations throughout the world and throughout specifically the Middle East, it didn't come out of fucking nowhere, this type of radicalization. And so to say that, one government in one part of the world and one police force or whatever in one part of the world is completely to blame for this type of stuff, it's a massive stretch. But people have won, in this time line of an event like this, people are looking for someone to blame. So that's pretty natural. And people just trying to make sense of what the fuck is going on. And it's easy to say, well, there are particular persons that are in charge of everyone's safety, and that is the government. That's like the one thing in a liberal society that they're supposed to do in order to make sure that a market society can work, so people can go out and, buy a coffee and have a drink and go buy lunch and go to the beach and, all that sort of stuff. Someone has to keep that environment secure so everyone feels like they can enjoy the fruits of liberal and market society. So that is their responsibility at the end of the day. But specifically blaming them for, particular actions of individuals, it's hard. It's a hard slog. It's a massive call, I guess. It's a huge call. Yeah, I'm not feeling her recounts. Not like the others, that's for sure. But those two that we saw, those two parents on, I think it was I-24 News or something, people described them as crisis actors, they were saying, but they were like the government is to blame for this. I think they were South African, those two, and they were very staunch in making that loud and clear that they see the government as at fault for this. And what did they say originally as well? She was like, I turned to my husband and said, are we going to be safe here today? Should we even go to this? And he was like, don't worry about it, honey. We're in Australia. And I think that is at least his response anyway, is a pretty good reflection of the sentiment. She's like, it is weird. It is very out of place. It feels like that this has happened here. Very out of place, I would say. All right, let's check out this lifeguard. I think people have suggested that the lifeguard is. It's an interesting situation. This is the guy, right? That people are talking about.
We are joined now by Trent Turr, who was working on Bondi Beach as a volunteer lifeguard when the two gunmen opened fire. Trent, we know it's incredibly difficult to be back at the scene for you yesterday. We know how difficult it was for you to experience what you saw. It's hard to know where to begin. Tell us how you learned about this. How did it all unfold in your eyes?
So I was on break and all the boys wanted to go for a surf quickly. We went out. At start, we thought it was fireworks. And then 10 seconds later, we hear people screaming, running. I look up and the first thing I see is a little kid drop to the floor. It was the worst feeling I've ever seen. I saw multiple people dropping to the floor. We were hiding under our boards. We didn't know what to do. And then we swam to shore and everyone was panicking. Everyone started running. We started running also. People were hiding behind their cars. We were telling people, just hide, just hide, just hide. 20 minutes go by and we went down and we were still shooting, but we had to make sure everyone was all right. It's just me and my mates, just our instincts kicked in. And first thing we saw, blood everywhere. We went to the playground, near the playground area, and we see blood where the Jewish event was. And I had people that were there that I knew, family members, and I still can't get in contact with some of them. So I'm a bit nervous about what's going on. It's the worst feeling I've ever seen. I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy. Seeing all these bodies on the floor, blood everywhere. It was, especially for a young kid like me, it was the worst feeling ever. I just can't describe the feeling.
Bloody, this is terribly difficult.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you coming on and talk to us.
Yeah.
and some of this we didn't know, so apologies if we ask you things that are terribly insensitive. Please just tell us, right?
Yeah.
So you would have seen in the immediate aftermath, and subsequent to that, you've got a family member missing. So in the aftermath, you saw police, you saw ambulance officers, you saw the community coming to help. Just describe that for us, what you saw.
I believe it's just who we are as a person. Whether you're a lifeguard or not, the community is so tied together that we would always put our lives in danger to help other people. It's just the people in Bondi, it's just how the community is. I believe that everyone that was there today, yesterday, showed courage, fearless, and we're all just trying to help each other out, which I really respected, which I assume from like the whole community is what we would do. Everyone was just trying to help each other out, which was the main part, and I'm really proud of how everyone handled the situation, especially that Muslim guy that tackled down that gunman.
Yeah.
Props to him. Like, without him, more lives would have been lost.
What a proper legend.
He is a proper legend, and he deserves as many beers as he can get.
And he's in hospital now, having been injured himself, recovering. I mean, he is the epitome of what the Australian spirit is, the heroism to tackle down a gunman who was holding a gun. I mean, he undoubtedly, as you said, saved lives.
He's a hero. Without him, more lives would have been lost, and he deserves the utmost respect for what he has done.
You're dealing with a lot as a young man, right?
Yeah.
I hope that you've got, the family's okay.
Yeah.
What are they saying?
There's a lot of mixed emotions right now. Firstly, anger. Secondly, sadness. They're grieving right now with the whole situation that's going on. It's honestly terrible at this targeted attack, and
There's still a shock, isn't there?
I mean, Sarah and I have been here. Like, this is Australia. This is Bondi.
Yeah.
Two
Iconic.
complete whack jobs over there with high-powered weapons. When you saw the social media, I mean, what?
I have a...
Yeah, hold my beer. Hey? People blame everything on the government when their party isn't in power. Yeah. That's fair enough. Glad I got out of the city. The Hasbro 2026 budget has more than 400% increase. Not trying to say that this was a false flag, etc., but it's going to be utilized to the fullest by all concerned parties, including our government.
I'm not really a politician type of guy, but I have one thing to say where, look, if you come into this country and you don't respect our values, you don't respect our culture, we're a multicultural country right now. If you don't respect one another, when you come into this country and you don't respect us, you have hate towards another person, another Australian, whatever their background there is, they shouldn't be allowed into this country. I believe if you do not like someone for who they are, what they are, and have a problem with it, and you're going to take it out by shooting them, it is the lowest thing you could do as a human. And honestly, if you have hatred towards any Australian, whether what their background is, it's honestly terrible.
Right on,
We're talking about two people here who are pure evil. They're filled with hate. They're extremists. We're still learning more about them, but they were a father and son duo who perpetrated this attack. And in many ways, that helps you get an understanding of how it was able to remain under the radar for so long from the police perspective. This is something that we don't have answers for right now, how this was able to be carried out. When you saw it unfold, when you saw those people taken down in that awful situation of seeing a child, for you, did it seem as though this was some chaotic? Was it sophisticated? What was it like to actually see this in real time in real life?
Well, firstly, props off to the police and medical team that responded straight away. Without them, a lot more lives would have been lost, and I think the police deserve a raise for what they've done and all the people around them. Secondly, with all this chaos unfolding, with this being targeted, all that, it's honestly gut-wrenching. But I think as a community, we won't retaliate with violence. I think the one thing we should do, we should hold each other's by our
No, the lifeguard is talking too much truth. I blame the government. My party has never been in power. They're literally dragging shit out of him, painting a scene like a vulture. I hate this kind of journalism. But he's not really answering their questions anyway, to be honest. I blame the government no matter what party is in power. Interesting. Yeah.
shoulders, make sure
I wonder how old this guy is.
everyone's okay. No protesting about it. None of that. We just have to lift our shoulders up, work together, and do the best we can to support each other in this hard time. And don't worry about what's going on later. We just have to worry about now and make sure everyone's okay. And we go from there. We've got to be mature about it.
Let me tell you, I don't think there'd be many people across Australia who'd be arguing with you right now. You've seen an awful lot. You've been through a lot, and you never...
It's got to be mature about it. Well, fuck. Let's see if that happens. It'll definitely get whipped into a culture war, this one. There'll be a left and a right-wing side of the fence on this one, for sure. That's how you know it's culture wars. And everyone will have to take a side. Just need some common sense. Yeah, he's young, but his stash is like 40. I know, it's throwing me off. Like, if he didn't have that, he'd have to be like a teenager, right? Protesting is peaceful, fair enough. But he did say, I'm not much of a politician, etc., etc. So maybe he doesn't really have an appreciation for protest, which is just a form of political expression. It's not about division. It's because he's a paid actor, LOL. It's just going to be the thing now. You can never watch like events after something like this and just be like, huh, he's just he's a crisis actor, or she's a crisis actor. I didn't see much division between the left and right on this one. Not yet. We've been discussing already, and people have been bringing up how people are already using it as ammunition to fight against migration. So it's definitely going to be culture-fied. Don't worry. There's plenty of fucking time. People are going to use it to push their own political agenda. It's happening. Apparently the Americans are already on it too. See, this is why you need guns. Hey? How can you prevent this? It's pretty hard for the government to prevent. We will need to know more about how he was on a watch list. Yeah, it was really kind of telling. I get, not telling, maybe not actually. It's surprising how little the commissioner was going to answer anyone's questions on this one. Investigation going, investigation going, investigation going. I will not answer any more questions. Anglica, I've definitely heard the why are we letting these people on site today. Why are we letting these people in on site today? Yeah, okay, yeah, there it is. And like, you know, he's mentioned it as well. It's like, if you're gonna come here and not follow Australian values, then like, you can get it. Has there ever been a time where verifiable crisis actors were used, or has it only been on speculation? I think there's just verifiable stuff in the US. Now, Tagat has provided, if you want to have a look at it, like it's right here. It's in Discord, so I'll put the invitation out again. If you want to have a look, go to video topic suggestions. I'm going to have a look at this tomorrow with all of you. But like, if you want to get onto that, you can have a look at it now. Here's the invitation for Discord, and like I said, it's in video topic suggestions. He's gone through a history of kind of this type of stuff in Australia. Where he get the money psychological assessment for gun license? Well, why would you bring in people with limited oversight? I mean, our Home Affairs Minister was meeting Palestinians at the airport, and there was millions here on temp visa and quick process for humanitarian visas. All right, so there's one other guy, and I think we can all, I think there's, you know what, I'll agree with you on this one. I don't think there's any culture war on this guy here, and it's that hero, the hero that tackled the gunman. Where is he? Where is that guy? Let's see. Let's see if I can get that. There's no culture wars on this guy. The hero is a hero. He's tackled someone with a fucking gun and held them off. This seems to be the dude here. This is what he looks like. Look at can you see the marks in his shirt there? Even Pauline is praising him. Yeah. Even Trump was praising him. Like, fuck. Eh? To get a gun license, he would have to be a citizen. 10 years residence? Yes. You know what? Let's fact check that one. Let's ask our research assistant if that's the case. In order to get a gun license in Australia, do you need to be a citizen and somebody with 10 years residence? Residency, maybe? Ahmed Al-Ahmed. More alliteration. A Muslim, the hero at the Jewish hate attack. The narrative is obvious. The coalition stopped the boats only for people to fly in on plane and be let in. Oh my god. Australian of the year for sure. And everyone on the left is in agreement with the right that if these guys were ISIS, then that means it's likely Mossad funded. Yeah, we've been talking a bit about that today. No, here he goes. Here's the answer from our research assistant. Take it with a grain of salt. No, you don't need to be an Australian citizen to get a gun license in Australia, and there is no 10-year residency rule. You must be a resident of a state or territory where you apply and actually living there. It doesn't have to be citizenship. Temporary residence can often apply as long as they can prove genuine residency. Most jurisdictions require applicants to either be Australian citizens, permanent residents, or in some states, other lawful residents with the right visa status. There isn't a 10-year residency requirement for gun licensing law itself. That's a misunderstanding of citizenship eligibility. That's from South Australia, firearm license. Other requirements are 18 for adults, a genuine reason to own a firearm, being a fit and proper person, completing firearm safety course, secure storage compliance. In short, you don't have to be a citizen, and there's no 10-year residency rule specifically for a gun license in Australia. Interesting. Does that answer your question? Crazy. I would have thought you had to have been one. I don't know why, but I just thought that seemed logical, I guess. New South Wales have stricter laws as well. Irregular non-maritime arrivals far outweighed boat people, yet the boats were the focus. The irony was not lost on me. Well, that's fucking insane then. Well, yeah. Like, you don't even have to be a resident. In some cases, you can just be someone with a visa. They have to have the right visa status and you can get a gun. I don't think this will be a culture war issue. If anything, it's something that could distrust the culture wars because it's open to power structures. That could disrupt the culture wars because it open eyes to the power structures. Interesting. Why should new citizens and residents have less rights than others? I don't know, but I thought that in order to get a gun license, you'd have to be a citizen, I guess. Oh my god, they passed the psych test when they did this. Massive failure of governance. Makes me kind of cranky. Thanks, though. Yeah, it's interesting. Why would you have to be a citizen to get a gun license? I don't know. I have no idea. We have strict rules on having firearms, so I just linked that with some type of residency. Like, if you're just coming here on a holiday, why the fuck do you need a gun? I don't know. Do you need to have a gun as a tourist? Let me put that one to you. Well, I struggle to answer your why question there. I've only used guns on farms and vineyards, bird control. Olympics? What? Well, say everybody that comes to the country is usually participating in the Olympics. Fair enough. Olympics competitions. Okay, well, it does say here special rights for visa status. Fair enough. For the Olympics. Yep. Okay. Fair enough. I've shot a gun once. Had a Bible, long story, and a bow once. Stopped forever cause got a bullseye. Now I have a lifetime 100% accuracy rate. Neither rang my bell. Fair enough. Tourist is a very similar word to terrorist. Oh my God. I've heard that joke being used before. Very funny. Very interesting. All right. Let's listen to the
the gentleman who raced into the scene to disarm one of the gunmen. We're just learning some details about him because he has been shot. Now, we are confident in saying that that is him. One of his relatives has just spoken to one of our reporters. We've got an interview coming in. We understand that this gentleman's name is Ahmed Al Ahmed. He's a 43-year-old married father of two. And he raced in to help. We understand apparently owns a fruit shop in Sutherland. No experience with guns. He was just walking past. We are told that he has 2 bullets in his arm, but they think he's going to be okay. And in the next hour, let's have a listen to the hero's relatives talking about his acts this evening at Bondi Beach.
Still, he's in the hospital and we don't know exactly what's going inside. But they said, the doctor, he's very okay. And next 2 hours, they let us to go in and see Ahmed, because he's still inside and he do the operation. But we hope he will be fine. He's a hero, 100% he's a hero, because what we see on the social media, he's 100% hero.
To his shoulder?
Yeah,
Bro, he's from the Shire. He's from Sutherland. Someone was speculating on the timing of all the Cronulla riots talk, and you've got an Arab from Sutherland, from the Shire, saving the world. There it is. Very interesting. What's this? I don't use the word hero very often, but you are the greatest hero in Australian history. Look at this guy. Interesting.
2 shots, one in his arm here and one in his hands.
And have you been able to talk to him today?
No, because I come when I see what's happening, and I come here to see him, but they said he's not allowed to go inside because he have to make an operation, whatever. I'm still waiting to see him.
There you go. There's the hero's family. He's from Sutherland. He's a Shireling. There you go. Interesting. Especially, with all of the context surrounding, what was it? It's been 20 years since the Cronulla riots. So this guy has knocked off Milk Crate Man from the Melbourne attack in... Oh, Milk Crate Man. Holy crap. I forgot about that. And Trolley Guy. All right, that's it. I don't want to spend any more time on this. Like, actually, we've spent a lot of time today on Bondi. And I just really wanted to have a look over interviews with people as opposed to speculating on stuff, and get some official stuff from the authorities. So thanks for sticking out with that one. Here's one last little tidbit for you. Leader of the free world, he'll give us his opinion on this. And there's only so much information available right now. Yeah.
Now, just moments ago, Donald Trump spoke at the White House prior to planned Christmas remarks. The US president had some words
We did
about
say
the
we'd
Bondi
go to
massacre.
Sky News, right? Hey, why not?
Likewise in Australia, as you know, that was a terrible attack, 11 dead, 29 badly wounded. And that was an anti-Semitic attack, obviously. And I just want to pay my respects to everybody, but to Australia and the Prime Minister, to everybody that we know so well, we get along with so well. We have a great relationship. That's a terrible situation going on over there. Think of that. You probably read it's been a very, very brave person, actually, who went and
The hero.
attacked frontally one of the shooters and saved a lot of lives. So very brave person who's right now in the hospital, pretty seriously wounded. So great respect to that man that did that. But we're here for a different reason. We're here to celebrate Christmas and to celebrate. And I think today we can
Obviously, gotta love the Don.
say loudly, we celebrate Hanukkah, because that was such a horrible attack. That was a purely anti-Semitic attack.
There it is. He said the line. He has a lot of great relationships, apparently. All right. He doesn't know shit. The guy got the gunman from behind, not frontally. No. He doesn't know the particular other details of this person either, potentially. So, yeah. There's a few details missing there. All right, actually, let's see some Sky News comments on this. Thank you, Sky News, for not barring comments. Praying for all the families affected by this. Thank you, everyone from other countries wishing Australia best wishes. It's just nothing but love in the comment section. The guy who took out one of them absolutely deserves the highest award possible for bravery. How soon can we put the plea for no Islamophobia? Oh, sorry, Guardian and ABC. How soon can we put out the plea for no Islamophobia? No doubt it's coming. You can't make comments on those news sites, mate. Sorry, Dad. Both vehicles for the left. This was just the first test to see how far they could get. The biggest attack is yet to come. I read reports that explosives were found. Tell us where then. Probably over Christmas. Muslims hate Christmas. I don't know, man. I know some Muslim people that love Christmas. They love fucking Christmas presents. They love Christmas presents. 16 passed away, latest count. I hereby call for the double dissolution of Parliament. Put the cleaners through Canberra. This is your theory of everything. Voltaire, just calling for it. Calling for the end of the government. My oppositional government. This is just another reason. That's it. Got to clean up the government. This is a catastrophic failure of multiculturalism. Right? Here it is. Here's your culture wars indoctrination. Two cultures in Australia at war with each other who are responsible for allowing this situation to happen. Someone's head needs to roll. Should ask why terrorists are allowed in the country in the first place. See, that's the thing. Like, it's a fair question, but like, what if the terrorists are homegrown? What do you do then? What the hell do you do now? Labor has to go ASAP for the harm that they've caused to Australia. Big wake-up call to Australians. One culture is more violent. We must behead them. Everyone loves Christmas. New Year's jingle bell rock. My God. Labor count extra votes. Whilst the innocent count their own dead and wounded, Governor General should sack the government. Damn. If this doesn't wake people up and to vote accordingly, I don't know what will. Thank you, Donald. Thank you, Donald. Hey. Albo sat on his hands and let this hate go on. The hate marches are a good example. We are never going to end up like England. We are never going to end up like England. Are we fellow Australians? Fuck, what is that? It's a difficult one to decipher, that one. Brought into your country and homes by your own government, and you people still do nothing about either group. Needs a comma. Okay, maybe that's why I don't understand. A good example. And a question mark here. I'm struggling here. Struggling to decipher what the fuck is going on here. Can't have more than one culture. Australia is white Christian. They say as they defend Jewish culture existing beside them. Something tells me they just don't like brown people. That's fucking hilarious. Well, some have pointed out that it's two of them. It's both of them bringing their stuff here. This government was warned. I'm warning you, cuz. Strong words. Anal and Labour are the party of division and hate. Enjoy, comrades. What the fuck does that even mean? Who's Anal? We won't end up like England, comma. Am I right? My fellow Australians, right. Thank you. Albo has blood on his hands? Traded to Australia? Wow, fuck. Now President Trump can see what a failure Albo Akbar really is. I don't know which one I like better. Like, I really have enjoyed calling him Elbow Sleazy. But like Albo Akbar, fuck, why didn't we think of that? There's so many nicknames that they've got for him. It's hard to keep up. Albo Akbar. Wow. Oh, nickname for Albo is anal? Why? Anal. Sex act, rear end. Nickname for Albo. Anal and labor sounds like my experience of Canberra. Dude, Albo Akbar is fucking hilarious. Like, where do these guys come up with this material? Seriously. Weird Tommy Robinson freaks crying. Elmo freaks too. Yeah. Like when we went to the Put Australia First rally, they actually had Tommy Robinson stuff pre-recorded. Of course, he wouldn't fucking come live. But yeah, they really loved their Tommy Robinson stuff. Trump really popularized hurling nicknames at their opponents. Yeah. I don't think about Arabs when I hear Albo Akbar. First thing, yes, Admiral Akbar. Is that the fish dude? First thing I think is it's a trap. That's fucking hilarious. I wish Albo have earned at least the elbows up nickname, but instead he's presented with Trump butt up. Islam only brings death and suffering. Like fucking, talk about sweeping generalizations. Hey? Christianity does a lot of the death and the suffering too, fucking a lot of it. Well documented too. Hey? Buddhism too. Fucking what a death trail Buddha has. Or the many Buddhas have. Wow. Jesus. Anthony Albanese was warned that if he does not stand up and show support for the Jewish community, something like this would happen. He did nothing. Is this fucking Benjamin Netanyahu there? The only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for a prime minister to do nothing. If one does not stand up to support and protect those you have sworn to protect, by default you are complicit. Yeah, I know, right? There's like one lone douchebag in here. RIP to the victims of this attack. Hello. The people died. How about like RIP to the victims? Oh my God. That's fucking hilarious. This person's looked at the headlines like, oh, I thought someone had shot Pam Bondi. Bondi? Eh? I genuinely think some of these comments might be Israeli intelligence. I ask everyone who says Albo has got to go, who should take over, and they don't have an answer. LOL. Come on. I think I've interviewed people that have an answer to that. Like Pauline Hanson, next election. There she is in the comments, but she can't be PM. She's in the Senate. Shut up. She's going to be the PM. Wow. This is mental. Wow. All right, we are going to have a quick break. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back in a couple of minutes, and we're gonna change topics. Okay, when we come back, we're cleansing the palate, and we're gonna not cleansing the planet. No, we're not doing that. We're gonna cleanse the palate, and we're gonna start talking about another issue. So strap yourself in, and if you've been chatting today, hanging out, interacting, I do thank you. I'm not going to go through everyone because I can't go back too far on my list, but thank you everybody who's been interacting today. If you're watching this after the fact, thank you. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit the like button, please. If you're new here, subscribe or follow, depending on what platform you're on. But yeah, we're going to have a quick break now, and then we're going to be back with some more very soon. Just a quick shout to Indoctrinate Nathan. I'm finishing earlier than usual today. I'm going to finish just before 3 or at about 10 to 3. So if you are being rated today, I got to do that earlier. So we're going to be going till about, we'll go for another 50 minutes before I got to bounce. So strap yourself in. We'll be right back. All right, we're back. What did I miss? What did I miss? Has there been some chatter? Yes. Cleanse the planet of who-y? Freudian slip much? Yeah, I know. I was like, fuck, did I just say that? My first censored comment? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. What'd you say? Be nice if I could save myself without worrying about being arrested for doing it. Have had to go rescue neighbors from violence a few times in my life. Never needed a gun to do it. That's why gun control doesn't help. I'm still a person without a gun being shot at. Does the laws help me in that moment? Yo, yo, yo. Oh, yeah, what happened to the guy I was talking to in Discord? Did he get kicked out or something? I don't know. Who are you speaking to in Discord? In like the general chat? I'm not sure. Sam, maybe? I'm not sure, sorry. And what do we got here? We got Sydney attacked, pics of slain rabbi with IDF soldiers. Ugh. Oh, man. Puts it in perspective, doesn't it? The guy posting the WEF stuff in the introductions. Oh, I don't know. What's the introduction? Like, introduce yourself. No. Missing something here. All his messages and link disappeared, so I deleted all my comments. Oh, okay. I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. Yeah, right. Maybe they've deleted all of it. Woozle, typical left versus right being installed by the up versus down folk, because people were starting to figure out that we are not each other's enemies. So it's time to remove some proles. Hey, that's my grand theory of everything. There it is. 100%. It all feeds into the same machine, right? Divide and conquer. Divide and conquer. All right, so on the divide and conquer route, let's have a look here. This is what I wanted to have a look at today. In our little after session. Like I said, I was going through all of his links. He was being a conspiracy theorist. And what? It's been cleansed. Discord has been cleansed? That's pretty crazy. Of all their stuff. That sucks. So if you are here end of last week, I think on Friday for the afters, we went through the Nick Fuentes and Piers Morgan debate. So I'm not sure if people are across that. But like it was pretty instrumental last week. There was a lot of people talking about it. Because, you know, Piers Morgan got Fuentes on to kind of, I don't know, own him, I guess you would say. Kind of own Fuentes and call him out for being a bigot and a racist and a sexist and all this sort of stuff. And Nick Fuentes kind of just was like, whatever, I don't give a shit. Like, you got me on here and like, you know, you just want to call me out. I don't give a fuck. And so Piers Morgan looked like a fuckwit, which he usually does, let's be honest. And then Nick Fuentes' supporters were like galvanized by it, and they think that he looks like some shining example of truth and purity in front of this old boomer. And so like we kind of watched Piers struggle to throw any mud and make it stick on Fuentes. Like, he's bringing up legitimate concerns about his positions, and Fuentes kind of was just like, and what? Like, so I don't know if Piers Morgan didn't do his research properly and it just came across like that. But Fuentes, I'm assuming his supporters would have just fucking loved that interview and eaten it up. And like Piers brought in some interesting points about Fuentes's, you know, things that he said on podcasts or his streams or whatever. And like he was basically, he was like, yeah, I am a racist. And the comment section was like, yes, based. And like, so like people, so Nick Fuentes, if you're not sure, sorry, let me just step back. Nick Fuentes is like a right-wing influencer, I guess you would say. He's a young dude. He's like 27. But he's been, you know, doing this stuff for like a decade now, I guess you would say. maybe a little bit less. So he's got a significant supporter base. Now, he was only brought to our attention because of the Groyper Wars. And so, like, once we were investigating kind of the Kirk incident and we figured out who Groypers were, we started looking into Groypers and Nick Fuentes and all that sort of stuff. And so Fuentes has been doing the rounds ever since, I would say, like mainstream rounds, ever since the Kirk incident. And as a result of that, he's become kind of popularized, I would say. Tucker Carlson had a big impact on that as well. Tucker Carlson gave him, as they would describe, as a soft interview and didn't really press him on hardcore stuff. And so, like, gave him some pretty good PR, I guess you would say. And so, yeah, Pierce recently engaged him and was seemingly trying to, disarm him. But, like, it seems to have been lost. There's like a generational divide between Morgan and Fuentes. And Fuentes and Pierce Morgan, they just don't exist in the same reality, it would have seemed. So it was interesting to see nonetheless. But yeah. Pierce was being bad faith again. I don't, So isn't it funny that we're just like, like all we could take away from it is like Pierce Morgan is a douchebag? Like, it's crazy, isn't it? Like, even Fuentes, like including someone like Fuentes, who he's like, has some very staunch and radical opinions on things. Like, Pierce still looks like a douche. Emancipatory channeling. Dude, most wouldn't be able to handle Nick's latest monologue show. He has massively doubled down and is only increasing in following. Definitely declared all out into generational war. Pierce's whole thing is literally just backfiring gotchas. That's his thing though, man. It's his thing. So anyway, we're gonna have a quick look now at like two, I guess you would say, left-wing commentators. Like, she's like a communist, and him, I don't know what he is. I guess it's just like as like in South Park they would say, like aging hippie liberal kind of type, I guess you would say. And they're trying to understand the Nick Fuentes phenomenon. And like, I think she's way more, down to earth. And he's just like, but this is unacceptable, like, kind of thing. So like, let's hear what their comments are. Because I think it's important actually, kind of dissecting what Fuentes kind of represents. And where he derives his energy from, if that is a thing. Because yeah, Pierce did nothing to kind of, I don't know, be some type of critical journalist, if that's what he was looking to do, investigative journalist, and get to the root. He seemed to have been claiming that he just wants to understand him, but he didn't do a great job. So let's see what these lefties have to say about it. Pierce lives in a reality where the upside of migration is nice curry and there are zero downsides. I don't know. Is that really Pierce's position? That he doesn't think there should be any curb on migration? I'm surprised at that. Is Fuentes a racist? I don't know anything. Well, in the Pierce Morgan interview, like outside of that, obvious, like, yes, he is. But like in the Pierce Morgan interview, he was like, yes, I'm a racist. Like, what the fuck do you want? I don't care. So yeah, he's like staunchly racist. He's like, he's pro Hitler. He's openly sexist, I guess you would say. He's staunchly Catholic, and he has a very particular view on Catholicism and as it relates to other religions. And so yeah, he's just generally that type. Like, he seems to be a generational phenomena where they are rejecting history, if you would say it like a certain way. Like, there's been this general arc of the retelling of history since World War II, and like how everybody has a shared understanding of the values and the lessons of modern history. And it seems to be this generation of Zoomers, or this particular segment of Zoomers that exist in the Fuentes world, really, revise or reassess the lessons and the values that you take from modern history, and they reject like these ideas of having to abide by certain stories and certain norms, like, you know, you can't be racist, you can't be sexist, you can't question the Holocaust or something like that, you can't support Hitler, or think that the Nazis were cool in any way. They reject all of that sort of stuff, and that's all built around kind of this, I guess you would say, great replacement theory style look of Western civilization, and particularly white culture. They believe that the white race is under attack, and American culture is under attack, and they should do everything to preserve it. But these are like, obviously a particular branch of that understanding. See, now I agree with banning young kids from watching this shit. Well, that's good to know. Yeah. Yeah, and the anti-Semitism and the Nazi connotations in the younger gens is super rife. Yeah, there's like this kind of, like I said, like this revisionist kind of understanding of history, and they're taking it upon themselves to understand. It's kind of like any generation that comes to its own. It has kind of certain tropes, like, you know, music, or art or fashion. It has certain, you know, takes on representing itself, and like these are political takes on this situation, and they're not going to be told by the generations that like what they're doing is immoral. They're going to make up their own minds, it would seem. And so you could just see from the interview between the two of them, like they were just completely on different fucking planets. I posted a video in the general chat of a live stream he did with another controversial figure talking about Piers Morgan. Okay, in the live stream, in the general chat of the live stream. Okay, and let me have a look. Oh, this one. Okay, so which one? Schneeko, or I in Dissent? Okay, I might have a look at this because it'd be interesting to see what his opinions are of it. I've recently left a community because of it. Seems to be like this is edgelord stuff for them. Now, like, this is not everyone in the generation, but like there does seem to be a want and a need. Sneeko is a red pill dude grifter. Okay. All right, let's have a look at this then first. Let's do the left's take on how do we figure this out? How do we reach these kids? Like that type of thing. We'll get that, and then we'll go on to something else if we can. Hundreds of thousands of views. Okay. Nick just joined Team Netanyahu anyway. Lots of money. What? Did he? That's interesting. I was wondering because they're very staunch on anti-Israel, the Groypers and Fuentes. Really staunch. I'm very surprised about that. Do you have like a source or anything, Tom Jones? Tom Jones is back. All right, let's have a listen.
We have to allow people to engage in free expression.
Looking for retaking their fantasies of some kind of historical purpose, and retaking what's rightfully theirs. I think it's really hard to come up with a strategy for dealing with the rise of someone like Nick Fuentes, and I can see that there is a case for saying, well, I'm not going to convince him, but I can try and convince his audience or people who could be drawn into his audience. I can also see the argument against it, which is here's someone who is looking for attention, and what he needs is an opponent to bounce off of. In terms of how do you understand Nick Fuentes, I think it's important to see him as a symptom of something. But
I might want to ignore him. Can I ignore him, Danny?
Ash is completely correct. It is a dilemma, but I made a choice, and you have to choose in the end. Do you take them on, or do you ignore them? I don't think we retain the power to simply ignore people like that. I think he has got his own audience. He builds it up. He was recently interviewed by Tucker Carlson, another American YouTuber, I suppose you could call him, broadcaster, who gave him a very soft...
Was driving before, but yeah, just getting ready for the stream now. All right. I'm glad I asked early. If you're listening to this, we are going live on multiple platforms. So if you're on YouTube land, like you can go over to Twitch now, and we're going to raid out to Indoctrination soon. So I know there's a lot of people that actually have this ability. So if you're going to go, start making your move over to Twitch, and we're going to raid Indoctrination in about half an hour or something like that. Emancipatory channeling. I just happen to be the spokesperson. It's about we are as a people, and Christians and Europeans have a peoplehood too, and I'm going to give it back to them. I'm going to them permit, and I am going to them permission. The above was Nick's recent message. Okay. Right, okay.
Interview. So I think Piers Morgan was right to have him on to challenge him, and that he thinks he's getting the best of the argument by simply going, sure, I'm a racist, who cares about Hitler? But actually, I think it's a position he may not regret tomorrow, but he will in 10 years' time.
Like, this is a real... I can't stand doing this. I hate the intergenerational thing, but like, this is a real kind of, I guess you'd have to say, in the pejorative sense, not the literal sense, like a boomer take on this. He's just like, oh, you're going to regret it in 10 years' time, young man, like, kind of thing. You know, is he? Like, this guy's a social media, like, Nick Fuentes is a right-wing influencer. He's built his brand on this. And so like, he's going to have to live and die by it, unless he has some type of fucking awakening. And, you know, and I don't know, becomes a fucking communist or something like that. Like, is he really going to regret saying stuff like this? Especially if it's the stuff that's propelling him to stardom and infamy. I think that's just a shit take on this situation. The secret crusades continue.
I don't know. I think he's someone who's worked out the environment that he's in, and I think it's this. Being immersed in a digital world makes you more socially isolated, makes you worse at interacting with people in real life, makes you worse at forming relationships, makes you scared and resentful of the opposite sex.
Completely unable to find the truth anymore.
But not just that. You develop this real antipathy and hostility for the world. And you are isolated, and you are frightened, and you are hostile, and you feel hard done by. And so Nick Fuentes can come in and appeal to the millions of young men who are out there who are looking for someone to feed their fantasies of some kind of historical purpose and retaking what's rightfully theirs.
I think that's a very articulate way of describing how this comes about. But I think there's a value in all of us knowing who Nick Fuentes is. There's a danger in it too, because there's a danger that you push him into the mainstream. But we do have to understand this development online and on the American right. It's profoundly dangerous to our security, to our social stability, and we need to know about it. We need to understand it. So, there are definitely risks in engaging with him, but I think the advantages outweigh that.
So, like, she's saying, and she's a real fucking commie, I got to admit, hey, the way that she's described it, she's like, look, there are historical reasons why this is happening. Like, you can't discount the fact that, like, he doesn't live in he's not just a phenomenon that exists in stasis. Like, he is a result of his generational and his historical conditions. And so you have to assess him as that. And they're just like, you know, straight away, oh, yeah, we have to engage him. Like, you know, it's risky to engage him, but, like, you know, it'll be good to engage him if done properly. There's no risk there. And, like, she's like, look, he's speaking to a fucking audience here. Do you not understand? Well, so kids grew up in this culture. Future generations will have completely different views on society than boomers have today. Emancipatory channeling. Exactly. As per Nick's recent statement, as outlined above, he is clear on being a vehicle for what he deems as leading his people, his generation of people that he deems as his people. A protectionist. He views himself as a true protectionist. Giving them permission to speak out, like him and for their people. Did Charlie Kirk regret his actions? Tagad. They see jobs being sold out and imported labor, keeping pay down, so they look for blame instead of dismantling the orphan crushing machine. Yeah, that's an interesting way of describing an orphan crushing machine. Frightened? Question mark. Dialectical materialism, baby. 4S is in the house. I knew you'd appreciate that. But, like, there's truth to what she's saying. Like, there are historical conditions, and, like, he's trying to give them this solution or answer to their position, and they think he's some god because he's describing a phenomenon that they're experiencing. Like, this is a generational feeling and experience, and, like, they're just rejecting old narratives. Like, whether you believe in those narratives or not, let's just fucking hold on. Whether they're based on fact or not, like, they're rejecting narratives. They're rejecting this idea that it's like you can't talk about Hitler. They're rejecting the idea you can't talk about the Holocaust. They're rejecting the idea of, you know, being openly sexist or racist. It's like when they followed, those reporters followed what is his name? Adam Eltis, after the first March for Australia rally, the neo-Nazi guy. And they were like, oh, we're going to get him. And they were like, they were talking to him and they were like, oh, are you a racist? And this is a neo-Nazi. And they're just like, are you a racist? And he's just like, yes, I am a racist. And you're like, fuck, what did you expect him to say? Did you think that he was going to be like, no, don't show anyone this. Don't tell my mom. Like, fucking hell, these people are so detached. Tagar 96, totally. So the question remains, is it the right strategy to discount Nick and his generation and push them underground to get more extreme, like no one cares or gets them? Hey, on a side note, Piers Morgan also interviewed Milo Y and Crowder on Nick Fuentes. Worth a watch at a later date if interested. Milo and Crowder trying to raise awareness for Pierce generation that they are not approaching Nick and Gen Z and Alpha. Sorry, they are approaching them wrong, and they need to be heard. Well, they definitely need to think of it like an approach. They need to, what they need to do is they need to fucking open up and try to understand them a little bit better, as opposed to like projecting onto them, it would seem. But like, it doesn't really matter at this point in time. It depends on who holds the real power in society. And if these people, these boomers, like hold the majority of power over, you know, the majority of claim in the global bourgeoisie, then like, you know, it doesn't really matter. But like once they die, who inherits them and their positions, that'll be an important question, or that'll be an important factor very soon. In that Sneeko clip, he talks about his views on race and gender and ties it with liberalism. I'd say all the arguments can be dissolved with explaining the abuse of power living in a purely capitalistic system. So good. That's my line. I haven't said it even today. I haven't said my line. I get to say it at least once every stream. That's capitalism, baby. Race, gender, and all else are kind of a footnote. They have very particular connection to capitalism, and so the stresses or the issues that come about from discussions or experiences of gender and race, they are all connected somehow to capitalism. And so, you know, if you really want to make an effective change in any of them, you do actually have to see how they connect to capitalism. Capitalism can have an incredibly negative impact on all of those things. And so, you know, race and gender issues won't disappear in, you know, a post-capitalist world, but like they won't have the pressure of capitalism put on top of them. And so like they're kind of a footnote in that regard. Yes, I just want to clarify that it's not that simple, Takeout, as Nick and his followers are pro-capitalist and what they view as freedom. Yeah, look, they're pro-capitalist, all right. But I don't think they would appreciate and understanding that a lot of their issues are affected by capitalism. I'm not going to say they're caused by capitalism specifically, although you could definitely make that argument, but they're affected by capitalism. And so like if they're really, you know, anti-immigration and they're sick of like, you know, workers depreciating the value of labor in their country, that's capitalism, baby. Like if they're really worried about, you know, fighting for American workers over migrant populations that, yeah, depreciate the value of wage labor, that's fucking capitalism, baby. So if they really cared, if Nick and the boys, the Groypers, really cared about it, they'd be fighting against the capitalist machine, because that's what it does. Well said. I'm just addressing that won't fix the base problem. 100%, I agree. Dude, look up orphan crushing machine. It's the same as saying that's capitalism, baby. Oh my God, you'll love it. What is it? Is it a band or something? Or is it just a like terminology? I've never come across that. That's capitalism, baby. Orphan crushing machine isn't a physical device, but it's metaphorical term in humanitarian aid, describing systems that create justifications for aid by focusing on vulnerable children, orphans to secure funding, sometimes prioritizing the aid system's interests or Western agendas over the real needs of recipients, essentially crushing genuine solutions by creating dependency. Oh my God. Yeah. Don't fix the system. We'll just turn treating the solution, the symptoms into a business. It's crazy when you think about it like that, right? What they need to do is spend another 20 years telling straight white males they are wrong for feeling how they feel, they are toxic, and they don't have a claim to the land they were born on. Yeah, well, these are the historical conditions. And like, that's what Ash was trying to say. Not this guy, not this douchebag, but like Ash, she's like, look, there are reasons why this is happening. Are you considering the reasons? I didn't know it was called that. Pretty clever. Exactly. They focus on race, so it's kind of disingenuous how they argue.
I don't think this subcadre like people who look like you very much either, do they?
Oh, no. I mean...
What is that supposed to mean? What, because she's a woman? Or because she's a darkie? Eh? They don't like her because she's got a serious tan? What a pointed question that was.
Who look like you very much either, do they?
Oh, no. I mean, look, just the other day, I got a DM on Instagram from someone telling me that he's done time for firearms offences and I'm first on his list. That is part of my reality with the job I do.
You see, I'm really sorry about that.
Stop fucking cutting her off. Every time she said something, these fucking old dudes have just cut her off. Let her fucking speak. Oh my God.
You didn't do it.
But I'm really appalled that the words are coming out of my lips about what this man says about Adolf Hitler. And I just want to say that. I'm sorry about it.
Thank you.
Can you report the person who said that to the relevant platform? Is it going to do any good?
On the relevant...
What would you do, Danny?
On the relevant platform, I mean, you know, on X, nothing happens. On Instagram, sometimes stuff does. And I've made a decision that I don't want to engage with this stuff for any longer than I have to. And maybe that's irresponsible. For me, the key point is this, which is that we need to be able to have honest conversations with people, and honest conversations with people about loneliness, honest conversations with people about resentment.
You've been threatened. This is the point I'm trying to...
Yeah, and it sucks, but I don't think the person who did that is leading a happy life.
Should we be banning more speech?
So,
oh my God, she didn't even finish her point. What the fuck?
Threatening people with a gun should be a banned form of speech.
He couldn't take me in real life.
Taunting me about the Holocaust should not be a banned form of speech unless it goes beyond a certain form of, unless it breaks the law in certain very distinct and limited ways, because we have to allow people to engage in free expression, however appalling some of that free expression might be. Would I, if I was running an organisation, choose to monetize it in the way that Elon Musk is? No, I wouldn't. But that's a different discussion from the law.
No, you're not fucking Elon Musk, are you?
Because, Nick, you were on with Jacob Rees-Mogg, I think, on this question about the Vine case versus Joe Barton. And he was saying we're too quick to prosecute people who tweet nasty, hatey words.
Yes, very much so. But to be fair to Jacob Rees-Mogg, we were not talking about this level of what Nick Fuentes said. So I wouldn't want to presume what Jacob Rees-Mogg would be.
We mustn't presume what Jacob Rees-Mogg says, ever. But do you think this is a good fault line in politics at the moment? Nasty, hurty words, it's a thing the left are obsessed about. Come with me to the right, and I'm a truth...
What we mustn't make a mistake of doing is to say, because we may think that what Joey Barton said, for example, shouldn't be illegal, that it wasn't appalling, right? So maybe what Nick Fuentes says shouldn't be illegal, but it still should ostracise him from any kind of reasonable discourse. And I hope the right in America takes that point.
Talking about a fault line, the Republican Party is deeply divided on this. So big people like Mitch McConnell and Ted Cruz, they condemned Tucker Carlson for that soft interview and some of the really serious stuff that Tucker Carlson said in that interview. Donald Trump, of course, had dinner with Nick Fuentes at Mar-a-Lago in 2022. That doesn't mean he's endorsing him on this. And he declined to criticise Tucker Carlson for that interview.
The thing is that we're all talking about the law. There's another thing we need to talk about, which is money. So Elon Musk, who took over X, has since turned into a...
Hey, she said the line. It's capitalism, baby. Oh man, all this talk of white men claim to land Aboriginals were here 50,000 years plus, and we shot them down to have a voice in government. This is why they demonise nationalism in case it makes another rich, ignoring that when they don't listen to the legitimate concerns of the population, they might rise up to form another Reich. Oh, okay, right. You said Reich, yeah, in case it makes another Reich. Sorry. The interview video underneath the link, if the Fuentes show I got from the statement from, where he doubles down and goes full throttle, giving his people permission to stand up and speak their views. Well, he's definitely been emboldened then, hasn't he? Pierce didn't have the right effect, did you, Pierce?
For Carlson for that interview.
The thing is that we're all talking about the law. There's another thing we need to talk about, which is money. So Elon Musk, who took over X, has since turned into a cesspit of, far-right fascism, racial abuse and pornography. Might be someone's idea of a good time, it's not my idea of a good time. And part of the reason why he's been allowed to do that is because if you've got vast sums of money, you can buy into key parts of communication infrastructure and poison it for everyone else.
So final thing I would say, Nick Fuentes thinks that Hitler was cool, but I do remind him...
I'm a cheese wing? No fucking way. Hello. How you been? It's good to have you. It's been a long time.
He lost and had to shoot himself. So Nick Fuentes should understand that he thinks he's on a winner, but ultimately you discover he isn't.
Oh, man. Seriously. Isn't this why you don't debate Nazis? You can't change their mind. It just gives them a platform. The free marketplace of ideas. The free marketplace. Saw news and 9F, the shooting, pretty wild. Fucking wild. And we were listening to some interviews of it today. While there is speculation on the validity of some of those interviews, it's pretty fucked up, man. Like really, really fucked up. Like the stuff that happened. I have been well, thank you. Been trying to keep up on the stream life, bro. Yeah. And we're doing a lot of it these days. You remember when it all started. You were there. And yeah, streaming is life now. I don't even do other content apart from shorts. It's all streaming, bro. All right. Let us quickly have a look at something. I really do have to go in 10 minutes. I'm sorry. But which one are we going to do? Sneeko? Let's have a look at Sneeko first. Let's get a quick view on this before I have to bounce. I hope you're ready soon, Indoctrinathan. If you can hear me, hear me, hear me. Oh, you've timestamped it as well, you fucking legend.
In judgment? So the way that I people know, like it's, who's the black...
Stephen A. Smith?
Yeah. You bring people on to go, rah, 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 and you're going to sit there in judgment? So the way that I flipped the script...
Oh, no.
Is I said, I'm going to have contempt. I'm going to be in contempt.
Oh, that's what you
court.
got up to. Okay, fair enough. Like, is there anything that we should start on then? I guess we could just start at the beginning then.
Fuck it, I'll just come to New York and ball out anyway.
We got to hang out. We just had a nice dinner. Out of 10, how was it?
That was a 10 out of 10.
That was a 10? Let's go.
10. Mm-hmm.
That's good. Always good to catch up with Nick. It's always cool to see you when you're here in the city. And I'm glad you came, man. It's a white Christmas. It's snowing outside.
Yes.
Christmas. Yeah. I love Christmas. What do you do?
Me too.
I did. Christmas is Jesus.
Born on the 25th of December.
There's no biblical evidence of that, right?
I don't know. I mean, brush trees.
Okay.
I don't know the arguments though.
Yeah, I was talking about how the materialistic aspect of it, buying presents. The
I'm gonna have to have a look at this separately so we can actually get across this. But like, what's this one? Fuentes comments after Piers Morgan. Let's have a look at this one. Oh, he's explaining himself. This is his own.
I'll be honest with you. I was a little nervous about this one. I was a little nervous. It's been a while since I did a combative interview with a liberal before. But I locked in. That's that simple. I got dialed in. I locked in. I prepared. I strategized. I studied. And I came out on top, the reigning champion.
Is this the white nationalist that argues for crusades talking to someone who calls themselves a Muslim? I don't know if this is the same guy. I'm not sure if he's talked to a Muslim and arguing for crusades. But, like, you know, he's a controversial right-wing character. Influencer, sorry. I should say he's not a character. I think he does actually exist. But it's hard to tell these days.
Who's left? Who's even left? What else you got?
Sneeko is a Muslim. Okay, right.
What else you got? What time is it, huh? Broken clock, right again. So we'll talk about it. We'll get into the appearance. It was a lot of fun. And I don't think it went the way Piers thought it would. Actually, I don't know. It's funny because during the interview and afterward, he seemed like he thought it went his way. But then I think he saw the
You could argue character as performative. Okay, fair enough.
comments on YouTube and on X. And then he started freaking out on Twitter and replying to everybody. And I don't think it got the reaction that he thought it would. And that's very telling. It ain't 2015 anymore, buddy. Different generation, and it's a different era. It's a new time. This is the year of the Groiper, year of the frog, pal. That's the thing. A lot of these boomers, not only is there a generational divide in how we speak to each other and how we talk about these issues, but it's a different world.
See, they fucking own it. He fucking owns it. He loves this stuff. He fucking revels in it. I'm sure Piers Morgan would have done some fucking research, or his research team would have done some fucking research before entering into this realm. But this guy fucking owns this stuff. This is his playground. Morgan, about as Muslim as Andrew Tate. Essentially, Nick even admits that he gets dramatic to keep it interesting. Interesting.
It's a different conversation. And the old playbook where they call you racist, they call you a misogynist, they call you an anti-Semite, and they expect that everybody is going to fall in line. It doesn't work like that anymore. It's 2025. This is a new chapter. And I'll talk about what I mean by that and why I think that is. But suffice to say...
Dude, like, look at this guy in the fucking corner. It's like stream within a stream within a stream here. Like, I should make content like this. He hasn't said anything. He's just watching Fuentes talk. And what, he's just going to say something every now and again. And he's got 58,000 subscribers, 312,000 views. Fuck me dead. I've been doing content all wrong. I'm just going to shut up and just let other people talk and then repost it. And that'll work for me.
He came out of it feeling very confident. And then I think he was very surprised by some of the feedback. Well, it's a new world.
Oh, right. That makes sense. The guy's just uploading Nick's content because Nick was/is banned from making an account. Right. Pierce got clicks. That's all he wanted. Yeah, that's Pierce, isn't it? Actually, thinking about it. That's a pretty fucking good point, right? Also, you have to have an Aussie flag in the back, bro. I'm going to, over the break, I'm going to try and set up so I don't have just a green screen anymore. I'm going to get that Aussie flag out that the lady gave me at the fucking, what was it? The Put Australia First rally. I'm going to get, she gave me a free Aussie flag. I'm going to have to put that in the background. Hey? Yeah, you make followers and money from hacking onto already popular figures. Yeah, I know. But like, I try not to do that. Says the guy who's just watching other people's content. But you know what I mean.
So we'll talk about it. Good stuff. Really good stuff. I think it was one of the most enjoyable interviews that I did. A lot of people told me that. They said it was their favorite interview I've done this year, or my favorite one I've done ever. People said it was hilarious, funny, but also insightful. I was pleased with myself. I was very proud of my performance. I thought it was terrific. So
this guy's just like fucking jerking it. There's a jerk circle happening right now, and it's just a one-man show. Yeah, man. Get like a cardboard cutout of Kevin Rudd with an Aussie flag. Yes, and I've still got a Kevin Rudd mask as well from when we made the music video. Maybe I should do. That's a fucking great idea. Thank you, Gum and Cheese Wing. I might have to put up some old paraphernalia.
We'll talk all about that. We're also going to talk tonight about another Matrix attack. Took place today, and I want to give you my thoughts on it. First of all, how it came together. It's funny because Piers Morgan, his show is called Piers Morgan Uncensored. And for years, I was banned from the show. And he said that. He said that on his show. He said that I'm not allowed to go on. He said, I would never have Nick Fuentes on the show. He's too controversial.
Which is pretty ironic because Piers Morgan is a total grifter. I mean, that guy, since October 7th, he's made an exorbitant sum of money. And he doesn't really offer anything of substance to the conversation. It's just a bunch of guests. And, you know, all his only themselves the time. It's
uncensored. And I said, how can you call it uncensored if I'm censored? That's not uncensored. If the most censored person isn't allowed on the show, and I am, I think, even to this day, still the most censored person. I'm still banned on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. The platforms that I'm allowed on are this one, Rumble, and Twitter. And on Rumble, I don't get a deal. I'm not on the front page.
Matrix. This guy looks like a small toddler that throws fits over having vegetables. Pierce cut the. Yeah, what was the Kanye quote? Because I was looking at the actual interview between the two of them, and like he was like, "Oh," and just to quote Kanye, and then he looks like he's about to say like word for word, "This is what Kanye thinks," and then they just cut that part. I don't know why Pierce cut that out. Maybe he doesn't want to get sued. Maybe I don't know. I see Nick as a bobblehead whose shoulder pads never sit quite right.
There's some other things, and then on Twitter they won't let me get a check mark. I'm ineligible to buy a check mark. And anyway, I'm not complaining. I'm just saying, I'm telling you, I'm still canceled. In many ways, I'm still censored. And so you can't call your show uncensored.
You and me both, brother. You and me both. I've been fucking censored on YouTube as well. Hey? Been kicked out and suspended, and they won't hear my appeals either. Bastards. You would need to watch Pierce's interview with Milo Crowder that was uploaded in the last 48 hours. Are you on the Discord? Can you put some propaganda, please? Just so I know what to look at. It explains the Yee situation and the quote. Okay, fair enough. Indoctrinathan, how we going? Are you listening? Can you hear us? I would like to know if you're ready to be raided. Oh, it looks like that's a big and resounding yes. He is ready. All right, so we might have to like look at some of this stuff in another afters. Like, I don't know if I want to spend my whole life watching Fuentes. But it's an interesting phenomenon, and I think it's important to get an understanding of like what people are being influenced by. And the attention economy is dominated by fucking rage bait and by edgelords. And I'm not saying that he doesn't believe in what he's doing. He probably fucking really does believe in the stuff that he says, but it is edgelordy shit. It is fucking rage baity stuff. And people love it. People love it. I bet you there's heaps of people that hate watch him, but there's a lot of people that really do believe in what he's saying. So it's really something that needs to be considered, because politics is moving in a particular direction in a surveillance capitalist world. So a world that is dominated largely by social media, algorithms, data mining, all that sort of stuff. And people gravitate to certain things in a world where politics is mediated through data collection, and an algorithmic attention which just feeds eyes. It has to keep the eyes on the platform, in an environment that's compounded like that, you must appreciate individuals of this nature. I didn't say you have to fucking like them. You don't have to hate them. You can do whatever the fuck you want, but you have to appreciate the phenomenon. And I think Ash, the lady we were looking at before, she was trying to fucking grapple with that. And then you had all these douchebags who were just talking over her and just be like, no, it's appropriate to give him a platform, but we don't want to risk it too much. They just completely missed the point of this guy. They completely missed the point of him altogether. And like, I think we need to understand what's going on. So I guess we'll watch some more of this. If anyone's got some good propaganda on this, or it's like got a good timestamp that we can have a look at, then throw it in Discord. But I'm leaving it there today. So thank you for everyone. Just really quickly, Emancipatory Channeling, Indoctra Nathan, Dilemmas, Gamma Cheese Wing, Voltateur. Good to have you back, Gamma Cheese Wing, by the way. Who else have I missed? I know I've missed a lot of people, but Tagard, 4IS, Woozle, you know who you are, Genesius. I hope I said that right. I know you tried to teach me before. Tom Jones is back. I can't see everybody on the list. I'm sorry, but if you have been interacting today, thank you so much. Get yourself onto Twitch right now, because we are going to be doing a raid. We're going to be raiding Dr. Nathan. And yeah, if you're watching this after the fact, then thank you for your support, and hit the like button, etc., etc., etc. And we'll keep it top of, I think, Tagard tomorrow. We'll try and have a look at the the false flag stuff, a different angle on Bondi. But yeah, thank you so much, everyone, for hanging out today. It's been an interesting ride. It's been fucking heavy, can I just say, at certain points. But yeah, thank you very much. We are going to start a raid now, so I hope there's a few people with me. Let's just check how many we got. We got 4 coming over. 4 people ready to raid. 5 people ready to raid. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We are going to raid now, but we'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. And until then, please remember, I am, you are, we are a mystery. And I will see you on the morrow. Cheers.